Good afternoon, everyone. It is 3 o'clock, and I would like to call the meeting to order, and on behalf of the Board of Trustees, extend a heartfelt welcome to all of you who have joined us for our November 24th, 2021 virtual public board meeting. And it gives me great pleasure, as per our tradition, to open our meeting with prayer, and I'm honored to turn it over to Father Glenn McDonald to lead us.
Hello, friends. Let us begin. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. The Lord be with you, and with your spirit. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Glory to you, O Lord. Jesus said to the crowd, "They will seize you and persecute you. They will hand you over to the synagogues and to the prisons, and they will have you led before kings and governors because of my name. It will lead to your giving testimony. Remember, you are not to prepare your defense beforehand, for I myself shall give you a wisdom in speaking, that all your adversaries will be powerless to resist or refute. You will even be handed over by parents, brothers, relatives, and friends, and they will put some of you to death. You will be hated by all because of my name. But not a hair on your head will be destroyed. By your perseverance, you will secure your lives." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. So, my friends, as we are coming to the end of the liturgical year, so as you know, on Sunday is the New Year's Day of the liturgical year, the first Sunday of Advent. And so these readings of the last 2 weeks really have an end times feel to them because it's the end of the liturgical year. And these gospel readings can seem out of place, like in our context because we are blessed in Canada with freedom. That, as we remembered earlier in November, so many people gave their lives to help establish for us. But it also invites us to show solidarity with those who are persecuted and to remember that our educational system that we are committing our lives to help to establish justice and peace in the world. And so each day that we show up to a meeting, to the schools, to love and care for the students that God and parents and guardians have entrusted to us, we are building the kingdom of peace and justice and love in our world. It is a profound privilege and grace that we have been granted to be a part of this wonderful work. But to do so is never easy. And so we need God's care and guidance and wisdom. And so as we begin this important meeting, let us ask the Holy Spirit to be with us and say the words that Jesus himself taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Father Glenn, for your inspiring words regarding our gospel readings and remembering and reminding us that we are here building the kingdom of peace and love. And your words always serve as an important reflection of our division's mission and vision, and to joyfully embrace our division's theme that God calls us each by name. Moving on to 1.2, I am honored to read our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of Treaty 6 and home of Métis, Nation of Alberta, Region 4. We also acknowledge the Inuit and other diverse Indigenous peoples whose ancestors have marked this territory for centuries, a place that has welcomed many peoples from around the world to make their home here. We at Edmonton Catholic Schools commit to restoring and honoring the Truth and Reconciliation calls to action. We strongly believe that truth must be acknowledged to move forward to reconciliation. Together we call upon all our collective communities to build a stronger understanding of all peoples who dwell on this land we call home. Next on the agenda is 1.3, and as we are all once again on Teams this afternoon, we will request a verbal acknowledgement from each trustee for the purpose of roll call. I would remind trustees to please use the raised hand icon when you are ready to speak. When your name is called, please indicate present for the record. I will call names consecutively according to wards, beginning with Ward 71. Trustee Harris, go ahead, please.
Present, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Ingle?
Present, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Mutala?
Trustee, Madam Chair. Present, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Tuchansky?
Present, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Taber?
Oh my goodness. Present, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Taber. And I, of course, am present. So for the record, please note that all trustees are present. At this time, I am looking for a motion to approve today's agenda as presented. And I do see Trustee Mutala in queue. Go ahead, Trustee Mutala. Or do you wish to speak to your motion?
No, I don't. Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the agenda for November 24th, 2021 meeting.
Thank you for making that motion. And I do see Trustee Harris in queue. Trustee Harris, go ahead, please.
Madam Chair, I would like to make an amendment to the agenda, if I may, removing item 2.3. St. Basil Catholic Elementary Junior High School consideration for school closure.
Thank you, Trustee Harris. Do you wish to speak to your amended motion, your proposed amended motion?
I do, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess first things first, I mean no disrespect to administration by asking that this item be removed from our agenda. Indeed, I appreciate the comprehensive report and updating that updates us on the status and the challenges. The community and division are well served, as is the board, by having a firm handle on the facts to support our deliberations and decisions. And I extend appreciation to the community, the school, and administration for their collaborative efforts to date to support and enhance the enrollment at St. Jana Pawła II program at St. Basil Elementary Junior High School. Madam Chair and colleagues, with respect, there are two key reasons why I believe that this item needs to be removed from the agenda. First, having this matter on the agenda, framed as it is, not as an update, but as a recommendation to approve a process to consider closure, could severely compromise efforts going forward to get the program on stable footing. Even were this item to be allowed to come onto the agenda, if the recommendation from the administration is defeated, it still is problematic in that it'll send a signal to the community, including students, that closure is once again up for debate. The instability created simply by the process of having this on the agenda, having that debate again so soon, could have a profound impact on the decisions of parents who are considering enrolling their children in the program. And clearly, it could have an impact on the students, as their sense of belonging to the school community is destabilized once again. Also, I do not believe that it was the intent of the board when it took this decision 20 months ago. Two enrollment cycles, both compromised significantly by circumstances beyond the control of parties, to have this matter up for debate in such a short time frame. So in that it was not the intent of the board, it should not be on the agenda at this time. If this item is withdrawn from our agenda at this time, it sends a clear signal to the community and administration that the board is committed to giving these efforts more time to mature. Administration can continue its diligent efforts with the community, and if needed, in due course, the board can address this matter and take its decision in a more reasonable time frame. Madam Chair and colleagues, I do understand your reticence to withdrawing an item from the agenda and not having an opportunity for fulsome debate on this proposal put forward by administration. I ask only two things. Number one, think about the impact on the school community and the students of having this debate so soon after just providing direction to administration to work with the community on the project that we all knew would take some time. And number two, I ask, what was your intent? Did you have any expectation that in the middle of a pandemic, the likes of which has never been experienced in our lifetime, schools closing for months, then reopening to a completely different operating reality, top to bottom, that this community would be able to turn the corner in that short a period, 20 months? This item should not be on the agenda in this manner at this time, and I ask for your support to remove it, voting in favor of the amendment. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Harris. And so I'd like to open it up to the board before calling the vote and before inserting myself. Just giving a couple of seconds here. Seeing no one else in queue, I will insert myself. As you know, Trustee Harris, I'm going to look at this through a governance lens. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your diligence and consideration regarding this matter, as this recommendation is being brought forward by our administration, identifying areas of concerns that need to be addressed, and based on our adherence to policy 14, recognizing as the board that we have a fiscal responsibility and an obligation to our entire division to ensure the provision that our school facilities continue to be highly utilized and effectively accommodate student learning needs. It is prudent, I guess, at this time to hear from our administration so that we can objectively make a well-informed decision in the best interest of all students. By taking it off the agenda, we will not be able to address the concerns being identified and would not be adhering to best governance practice. I don't see anyone else in queue other than I do see you back, Trustee Harris. So I'll turn it back to you for closing comments before I call the vote. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Had this matter come forward as an update, as a report and an update, identifying the progress to date, the issues that have been identified, I would have no objection to having this report coming up. No objections at all. The concern that I have with this actually coming, and I would welcome it onto our agenda. The concern that I have is that by opening this up now in the manner that it has been opened up as a consideration for an engagement consideration for, to consider closure, not as an update, but with a recommendation that that we start the process of considering closure. I think what that does, if it moves onto our agenda, is it very much compromises. Even if we were to choose to defeat that motion through our debate, by it simply coming onto the agenda, it severely compromises the efforts by the community to work towards trying to enhance enrollment, because it shows that the whole situation is completely up for debate again, completely, I think, very much undermining those efforts. So even if it ultimately did not get approved, we've already debated it. And the fact that it's open season, a debate, as opposed to simply an update, I think that's the issue that we have to deal with. And I appeal to my colleagues to consider it in that light, that the process of getting that on the agenda and opening a debate at a board meeting on this matter, that potentially can compromise the efforts going forward to get stable footing under this program. Thank you.
Thank you for your very compelling arguments, Trustee Harris. And seeing no one else in queue, I guess I'm going to proceed to call the vote. Your colleagues have heard your argument for ensuring that 2.3 be removed off of the agenda. And so at this time, I will ask trustees, if you support removing 2.3 from the agenda, please indicate yes when your name is called. And those trustees wanting to keep 2.3 on the agenda, please indicate no. And I'll begin with you, Trustee Harris. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Madam Chair, I am in favor of the amendment.
Thank you, Trustee Harris. Trustee Engel.
I am not in favor.
Thank you, Trustee Engel. Trustee Mutala?
I'm not in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Mutala. Vice Chair Tuchansky?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too am not in favor.
Thank you, Vice Chair Tuchansky. Trustee Tiber?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am not in favor.
Thank you, Trustee Tiber. And I am also a no, not to support the amendment. And so thank you very much, Trustee Harris. For the record, please note that the motion to amend today's agenda is defeated. And so at this time, we were going to go back to today's agenda, and I am looking once again for a motion to approve today's agenda as presented. Trustee Mutala, I see you in queue. Would you go ahead and please make that motion once again?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda for the November 24th, 2021 public board meeting.
Thank you, Trustee Mutala. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
No, thanks.
Thank you. And so at this time, I will now call the vote once again to approve today's agenda as presented, beginning with Trustee Harris. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess in that my colleagues, the board has spoken. I will vote in favor of the agenda.
Thank you, Trustee Harris. Trustee Ingle.
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Ingle. Trustee Mutala.
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Mutala. Vice Chair Tuchansky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am in favor.
Thank you. Trustee Tiber.
In favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I am also in favor. For the record, please note the motion to approve today's agenda as presented is carried. And we will now move on to the approval of the minutes, beginning with 1.5.1. We require a motion to approve the minutes of the organizational meeting of October 27th, 2021. Looking for a trustee in queue. I do see Trustee Tiber. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the minutes of the organizational meeting from October 27th, 2021.
Thank you, Trustee Tiber. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
No, thank you.
Thank you. And seeing no one else in queue, I will call the vote, beginning with you, Trustee Harris. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm in favor.
Thank you. Trustee Ingle, please.
In favor?
Thank you. Trustee Mutala.
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Tuchansky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too am in favor.
Thank you. Trustee Tiber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm in favor.
Thank you. And I am also in favor. For the record, please note the motion is carried. Next on the agenda is 1.5.2, and we once again require a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of October 27th, 2021. Thank you. I do recognize you, Trustee Tiber. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the minutes from the regular board meeting from October 27th, 2021.
Thank you, Trustee Tiber. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Seeing no one else in queue, then I will now call the vote. Once again, beginning with you, Trustee Harris. Go ahead, please.
In favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Ingle. Trustee Ingle?
Oh,
No worries. We're approving the minutes of the regular board meeting.
I know. I thought mute was off and I said in favor. Oh. Sorry, I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
Thank you. No worries. Trustee Mutala.
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Tuchansky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too am in favor.
Thank you. Trustee Tiber.
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I am also in favor. For the record, please note the motion is also carried. As there are no minutes arising from the as there is no business, arising from the minutes, we will move on to a good news story. 1.6 ATA ASBA Long Service Awards. I am pleased to share that Ward 74 Trustee Debbie Ingle and Ward 77 Trustee Laura Tiber have been given the Alberta School Boards Association Long Service Award. Trustee Ingle received the award for completing 7 terms of service. I'm not going to do the math for you. And Trustee Tiber received the award for completing 3 terms of service. The Long Service Awards are presented each year and recognize significant contributions to trusteeship. And of course, we have 2 of our very own who are so, exemplary. And we're honored to recognize this. And so this is not a motion. I am proud to read the recommendation for the record, and I'll do that first before turning it over to my board colleagues. That the Board of Trustees recognizes and celebrates Trustee Debbie Ingle and Trustee Laura Tiber for receiving the Alberta School Boards Association Long Service Awards. Please join me in celebrating both Trustee Ingle and Trustee Tiber. And I do see Vice Chair Tuchansky in queue. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to also say a hearty congratulations to my colleagues. This is extraordinary. I know when I was new, a term and a shake ago, these 2 were not. They'd been through it for a long time, and they were so gracious in sharing their wisdom, their knowledge. We've got a board historian. We've got a Laura, who at the time was chair, and we were so grateful for all of the knowledge and everything that you did for us, for me in particular. And I also just want to comment that the two of you in the last 5 years have put yourselves forward for a number of things. And I think it's extraordinary to be able to show others and ourselves that you're just not satisfied with where you are. You are constantly trying to move the bar, move it higher, move it forward. And I think it's extraordinary. So I couldn't be more delighted. And I am so proud of both of you, and for us that we have you two on our board. So congratulations. You two are truly, really two of a kind, but one of a kind. So thank you for everything.
Oh, beautifully said. Thank you so much, Vice Chair Tuchansky. I do see Trustee Mutala in queue. Go ahead, please.
I say, well said, Trustee Tuchansky as well. Congratulations, Trustee Ingle and Trustee Tiber. What an awesome privilege it is to work with you for the past 4 years. And you guys have been our mentors, and you've helped us along the way. We are very grateful for that. I also appreciate all the hard work you have done and being strong advocates for Catholic education and for the success of all of our students. You guys raise the bar all the time. You help us move things forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Mutala. Once again, extremely well said. I do see Trustee Harris in queue. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'll echo those accolades. I can't tell you how happy I was to have people of experience and good sense. When I first came aboard and started in this chair, we had that history on the board, and we also had some really good guidance, as you said. Others some mentorship that was extremely helpful. Couldn't think of two different people. These are very different characters, and yet they both bring incredible, unique value, and they have so much in common as well in relation to their faith and their good faith and their desire, their aspirations for all of our students in division. So we have very much benefited. I want to thank you so much. Debbie, you've been, as has been noted, our historian, certainly lots of sage wisdom. Laura, same. I mean, you've been very strong in terms of understanding and sharing with us, mentoring us in terms of your insights, what works. I've also always applauded and been really amazed with your fearlessness in terms of your advocacy, and very impressed with Laura sort of being very comfortable grabbing somebody, going up to a minister and getting them by the sleeve, and making sure that they understand where our division's coming from. It really has been. You bring such gifts that I don't possess, and that's a good thing, because we all have our unique strengths and we all contribute in unique ways. So thank you for being part of the team and your contribution to both the division, our students certainly, and to Catholic education. God bless.
Wow, Trustee Harris, I don't know if I agree with you about not possessing those qualities, but I'll leave that speech to you. I think you're just as excellent. But that being said, I do see one of our recipients in queue. Trustee Tiber, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I feel compelled to speak. So first of all, congratulations, Trustee Ingle, who was pretty much my mentor when I came on the board. She was a huge reason why I am where I am today. So for that, I want to thank you. Second of all, thank you everybody for your kind words. It always wonders when you're speaking, like, who are you talking about? That's not me, but I appreciate it, and I love hearing your words and your kindness, and I'm so grateful for all of it. But I just want to say thank you. I'm so grateful to be able to represent Ward 77 and all of Edmonton Catholic schools. It is such a gift, and I treasure it every single day. That when I wake up and I think, yes, I get to tackle education, Catholic education, make it better, be that force of advocacy for all of our students and all of our parents and all of our teachers, and just to make things better. And that's always my goal. And yeah, just, here's to another 4 years. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. Thank you.
Congratulations, Trustee Tiber. Well said. And I do see our second recipient, our board historian, as has been alluded to several times in the last couple of minutes. Go ahead, Trustee Ingle.
I just want to thank you all for your very kind words and say it's sort of like the pinnacle of a political career to be able to serve with the rest of you. Like it's a dream come true to have so much talent, wisdom. I mean, we're able to hash out items, agree, disagree, and come to what's best for our kids. But I just want to focus a little, and I don't want to get emotional, but I want to focus on Trustee Bear. I can't believe now it's been 10 years, but I do want to say I love Trustee Bear. I've loved the last 10 years serving with her. And a few times people have said, is this your daughter home from wherever my daughter was living? And I do feel like a mother to Laura. I do. I just want her to win. I want her to excel. I want her to be happy. So we've shared a lot of things. We've had a lot of really good moments together, you know, talking about and laughing and crying our way through some difficult times and arriving here. But I truly don't know a finer trustee than Trustee Bear. I am so glad that she is ours. And I've always told her I'm going to watch you, and I'm just not sure where you might end up politically, and I think it'll be very high. So congratulations to my fellow trustee Bear, and to all of you, thank you for everything you said.
Thank you very much, Trustee Ingle. Exceptionally well said. So I'm just going to add one more thing. I'm just going to insert myself and quickly we'll move on. I think what really needs to be highlighted as well, so I'm going to piggyback off of what has already been said, is that this is provincial recognition. So getting an ASBA award, you are being recognized. This is something like we work provincially with 61 other school boards in Alberta. And so when we go into our fall general meetings or when we're working with the metros, when we're working with rural boards, there's always that advocacy piece that this board works very hard for to ensure that Edmonton Catholic's name is recognized provincially. And so for that, I think the advocacy and the fact that both Trustee Ingle and Trustee Bear have been serving in this capacity for so long is why we as a board continue, and many of my colleagues have already referenced this, why it's been extremely rewarding for us to be able to ensure that Edmonton Catholic continues to be recognized provincially, advocating, lobbying for what is important for our division with our elected government, our elected MLAs. So there's a lot of work that goes into this. So getting this award is no small feat. Congratulations to the both of you. And so that being said, I don't know if we applaud one more time, but we've already applauded once, but you know, here's another one for you. And so in conclusion of that, we will move on to business of the meeting, beginning with 2.1, our audited financial statements 2020, 2021, and I will turn it over to Chief Superintendent Martin. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so as we begin, firmly and convincingly with our November public board meeting. It's my pleasure to introduce you to our Chief Financial Officer, James Grattan, who will bring us through the recently audited financial statements. It's all yours, CFO Grattan.
Thank you. And we will see whether the presentation works. Can everybody see it?
Not yet.
Has it come through?
It has not.
No.
Okay, try this again.
There we go, James, it's on.
Yes, but we're seeing all your notes, so if you make it in presentation mode.
Okay, just a sec.
Excellent, thank you.
We'll try again. Sorry about this.
Hey, James, it's Christine. Do you want me to do it?
Just give me one more second. We'll see whether I can do this myself, and then I'll flip it over to you if not B.
Standing by.
Okay.
CFO Grattan, I think if there were millions of dollars attached to this PowerPoint, you would have it in no problem at all.
And Christine, maybe if you could give it a whirl and we'll go from there.
Perfect.
Go ahead.
We got your smiling face, Christine, but not the presentation yet. Oh, there we are. Thank you.
Okay, so sorry about that. With that short delay, we'll get going. Good afternoon, Chair Palazzo, trustees, and Chief Superintendent Martin. It is my pleasure today to present to you the Edmonton Catholic Separate School Division's 2021 audited financial statements. Prior to beginning, I would like to once again express sincere thanks to the division's financial services team, as well as a large number of other division staff who have all played important roles in preparing these statements. Without their hard work and diligence, I would not be here today presenting these statements that include a clean audit opinion from our external auditor, Grant Thornton. With respect to Grant Thornton, Megan DeRue McConnon, engagement partner, and Ashley Zutz, senior manager, are watching today via our live feed. So today I'll be spending a few minutes going through, as noted on this slide, Alberta Education's AFS audited financial statements, some highlights, our statement of financial position, summary of statement of operations, expenses by program, expenses by account, our central administration expenses, statement of cash flows, and finally, but not least, turning it back to Chief Superintendent Martin for the recommendations by administration. I would like to highlight that these statements were reviewed in detail on November 17th by the Audit and Finance Committee, a committee of the whole that also includes two external members, CPA CAs, Deacon Wayne Prevent-Cal and Val Berger, and the Audit and Finance Committee is recommending the board approve the 2021 financial statements for release. Next slide, please. And if you hit it one more time. So with this slide, I would just like to highlight the ultimate responsibility of the financial statement lies with the Board of Trustees. As mentioned, the board reviewed the audited statements with management in details, and today, subject to your final deliberations, approves the financial statements for release. The next item is responsibilities of the external auditor, Grant Thornton. The board appoints the external auditors to audit the financial statements and meets with the auditors to review their findings. This occurred on November 17th. The third area, declaration of management and board chair. To the best of our knowledge and belief, we are making the representation that these financial statements reflect in all material respects the financial position, results of operation, remeasurement of gains and losses, changes in net financial assets, and cash flows in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. And Christine, if you can move the slides forward a few pages, please, to a one with pink. The table of contents and the statement of statements and schedules. As you'll note, there are a variety of statements that have been prepared and audited by our auditor, as well as notes to financial statements that will all be approved for release today. Next slide, please. So the highlights for the financial statements August 31st, 2021 are as follows. The first bullet there is a clean audit opinion from Grant Thornton. You hit the next slide, we'll get to the next bullet. The division's revenues and expenses were $529.9 million and $505 million respectively. The operating surplus for the year was $24.9 million as compared to an originally approved balanced budget. With respect to these revenues, they were higher mainly due to Government of Alberta revenues associated with COVID-19 related safe school reentry and critical worker benefits for frontline workers, as well as gains on disposal of a number of school properties. These additional revenues were partially offset by lower fees, lower sales of service and products, and lower donations due to reduced activities arising from COVID-19 and its impact. With respect to our overall expenses being lower, they are lower due to lower instructional and transportation expenditures due to the continued impact of COVID-19 restrictions on school activities. These lower expenditures were partly offset by higher operation and maintenance expenditures arising from higher infrastructure maintenance and renewal projects, as well as higher electric and gas utility costs. Lower expenditures were also achieved through ongoing efforts tied to the divisions walking together towards a glorious future that is focused on balancing 1, the utilization of schools, 2, enhancing learning environments, 3, improving operating costs, and 4, developing a continuum of focus, language, and alternative programs. Next bullet, please. The division's accumulated surplus from operations now stands at $51 million. A portion of this amount can be used by the division to cushion or mitigate the impact of unfunded COVID-19 expenses and, importantly to note, a pending $29.3 million reduction or elimination in Alberta Education's bridge funding to the division. Next bullet, please. The division has $521 million of tangible capital assets, and our capital reserves decreased by $7.9 million and now stand at $6.4 million. The last bullet, 2.9% of the division's expenditures were directed towards system administration. This amount continues to be significantly below Alberta Education's cap of 3.15. Next slide, please. So this should be the statement of financial position. This statement details the division's financial assets, liabilities, non-financial assets, and ultimately the division's overall net assets of $97.1 million. While various accounts have moved up and down during the past year, the key message is the division's net asset position is healthy, and we are in a reasonable position to mitigate, as I mentioned earlier, a reduction or elimination of Alberta Education bridge funding. If I could ask you to move the slides to a slide which says net division assets. This slide provides details on the division's net assets. Firstly, there is investment in assets, land, buildings, furniture and equipment, and computers. It increased by $7.9 million from $31.8 million to $39.7 million, mainly due to various building works, including, as we're all very proud of, the acquisition of the new Lumen Christi Centre. The second number there, capital reserves, decreased $7.8 million from $14.2 to $6.4 million, mainly due to board-approved expenditures on new buildings, including the new Lumen Christi Centre, partially offset by gains on disposal of 2 surplus properties. The third area, operating reserves, shows that there was an increase in the division's operating reserve or accumulated surplus from operation from just under $24.9 million to $51.2 from 26.2 million up to 51 million. You can go to the next slide, please, and it's the statement of operations. You're going to have to click a few through. The next statement that we will review is the division's statement of operation, which shows the division had revenues of $503 million. Had revenues of $503 million in 2020, and expenses of $502 million in 2020. Oops, I got the wrong 1 second here. That the division had revenues of $529.9 million. Now, just as a quick explanation, Government of Alberta revenues increased by $21 million. As I mentioned, this variance is mainly due to net income increase due to COVID-related safe school reentry funding of $16.8 million, as well as government critical worker benefits that totaled $2 million. There was also an increase of $7.6 million in revenues related to infrastructure renewal and maintenance projects. Many of these projects were delayed from the prior year due to the onset of the pandemic. And last but not least, we did have a decrease in funding by approximately $5.4 million for the weighted moving average adjustment to reflect our actual enrollment in 2021. Property taxes increased by $12.5 million, and this is simply a reclassification due to timing, where property tax collections by the City of Edmonton were delayed in the first year of the pandemic, and as a result of that, additional property tax revenues were received in 2021 versus 2020, but they were equally offset by changes to government funding from the Government of Alberta. No net impact to the division. The next three areas, fees decreased by $4.4 million. This was mainly due to reduced fee activities because of the continued impact of COVID-19. Sales and services of products decreased by $2 million for the same reason. And those realities definitely impacted the division to a significant extent in the year 2021. On the expense side, general decrease in expenses due to the following. Instruction, pre-K and K to grade 12 decreased by a total of $9 million. A decrease in instruction-related costs is primarily due to lower services, contracts, and supplies and related activities arising from the continued impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The reality is that our activities were significantly restricted in our schools, and our consumables and our costs that we incurred in goods and services dropped significantly in the year. We also had a reduction in transportation costs, mainly due to the reduction in the number of school buses operating, and a decrease in ETS ridership due to the continued impact of COVID-19. With so many of our students being online last year, we were not having to transport as many students as we otherwise would have. One thing to note under expenses, operation and maintenance expenses increased by $14.1 million. And that increase was mainly due to an increase in infrastructure, maintenance, and renewal projects. Other increases related to higher COVID-19 related costs, personal protective equipment, cleaning, etc., and general higher operating costs, including higher utilities. So if I could ask you to move to the slide that says expenses by program, please. This slide represents expenses by program and illustrates the relative percentage of 2021 expenses by program shifted slightly from 2020. And you'll note that last year we had 78.43% of our expenses relating to instructional. This year, 76.2%. This shift is mainly attributable to additional expenditures in operation and maintenance related to our infrastructure maintenance and renewal programs, as well as the expenses tied to our COVID-19 safety protocols in the area of custodial and cleaning supplies, as I previously mentioned, higher electric and gas utility rates. Next slide, please. Expenses by account. So in this particular slide, you can see that our payroll expenses, while relatively flat year over year, 401 million last year versus essentially 400 million this for 2021. The decrease is due to pandemic dedicated, well, let me rephrase that. We did go up with respect to pandemic dedicated teachers and substitutes, and extra teachers were hired to address instructional needs as well as online learning. Also, additional custodians were hired to meet the need for additional COVID-19 cleaning protocols. These increases were, however, offset by other staffing reductions due to the reduced early childhood program unit funding tied to the new funding model that came into effect for 2021. I'll also note under services, contracts, and supplies, which increased by 3.9 million. The increase was primarily due, as I previously mentioned, to acceleration of IMR, partially offset by a decrease in transportation costs, as I spoke of in the previous slide. If I could go to the next slide, please. This is the unaudited schedule of system administration costs that the division incurs. We, as I previously mentioned in the highlights, we spent $2.9 million of our expenses on system administration as compared to 2.9% last year. The maximum allowed per Alberta Education is 3.15%, or $15.9 million. That compares to the $14.4 million total expenses, less amortization. So just over $14 million was spent on system administration by Edmonton Catholic. We are funded to the extent of $15.9 million. So that additional $1.9 million, approximately $1.9 million, is available for the division to spend on educational classroom activities. So we're very proud of what we're able to accomplish on that front. If I could go to the next slide, please. The next slide is the statement of cash flows. And all that I'll say on this one, and as I've mentioned earlier, the highlight of this slide is to essentially say that the division's cash position increased by $8.4 million from $46.8 million to $55.2 million. While this sounds, and this is, let me pause for a second here. While this might sound like a lot of money, and it is for you and I at least, it is important to realize the division has annual operations well in excess of $500 million. And we continue as a division to face a reduction or elimination of 29.3% of Alberta education bridge funding going forward. So that's an important message that I want to make sure resonates with the board, that while we are fortunate to have the reserves that we have right now, it's also important to put it into perspective, especially from the perspective of what appears to be on the horizon when it comes to bridge funding. With that, if you could move it to the last slide of the slide deck, please. I'll turn it over to Chief Superintendent Martin for the recommendations.
Thank you very much, CFO Grattan. So the recommendation, Madam Chair and the Board of Trustees, is that the Board of Trustees of the Edmonton Catholic Separate School Division receives the audited financial statements dated August 31st, 2021 as information and approves their release to the public and to Alberta Education.
Thank you, Chief Superintendent Martin, CFO Grattan, and the entire team for your great diligence in highlighting ECSD's financial statements to ensuring a clean audit opinion from Grant Thornton, and for the assurance our finances are intact due to the great diligence of our team. And as this is a motion, I am looking for a trustee to please make this motion. Just looking at the queue here. Trustee Harris, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I will move that the Board of Trustees of Edmonton Catholic Separate School Division receives the audited financial statements dated August 31st, 2021 as information and approves their release to the public and to Alberta Education.
Thank you, Trustee Harris. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yeah, I will speak to this, and this will probably apply, Madam Chair, as well to the next, and that is as noted in the background that CFO Grattan referenced in the background to this recommendation, the audited financial statements had been reviewed by the Audit and Finance Committee, which is a committee of the whole board and is supplemented by 2 senior public members who hold professional accounting designations. Our review was in very great depth, as always. Including an opportunity to meet with the auditors in camera as an audit committee without administration per audit protocols. The committee is pleased to have received a clean audit opinion for the fiscal year. And if I can paraphrase sort of in broad terms the assessment of the auditors in response to our questions, the division is extremely well served in terms of the people, processes, and systems that are in place to effectively manage and oversee these critical resources. Let me also share from that financial update that it's apparent that with effective leadership, the division is positioning itself very well to meet the challenges ahead as the sun sets on our bridge financing that supports our current operations. The committee, of which I'm honored to chair, expresses its deep appreciation to CFO Grattan and his team, and to you, Chief Superintendent Martin and your team in administration, and all who share responsibility for ensuring good fiscal stewardship across the division. We also express our appreciation, of course, to the auditors for their diligent efforts. So thank you very much, Madam Chair. That's all I have to say at this stage.
Thank you very much, Trustee Harris, and thank you to you as well for serving as the chair of the Audit and Finance Committee. You serve us well, so thank you very much for your efforts. And I do see other trustees in queue. Trustee Ingle, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to thank Trustee Harris as well for doing such a good job of chairing the audit committee. And I'd really like to thank CFO Grattan. What a great audit. Under your watch, the audits have been like so clean. I remember times when auditors would say, oh, there's always, at least 10 or 15 things in a management letter. And we're seeing 0. Absolutely fabulous work. Excuse me, and I want to take back to your staff that I can't do it now because I'm on this super board with all these great people, but something that sounds very much like our board is your team. Sounds like there's such a great team. When the auditors talk about it, I feel like, oh, I wish I could work in there. They say everyone is so nice, so friendly, so easy to get a hold of. And I think that all adds to I really appreciate your leadership, CFO Grattan, but I do want to say that because of your leadership, you've created this team which can almost effortlessly provide the information needed so the auditors can get to the bottom of everything without having to dig too far. I mean, that's a wrong word. I guess what I'm saying is they always tell us the cooperation, the knowledge, the expertise, and the work ethic of the staff in financial services of Edmonton Catholic is beyond reproach. So thank you for that, leading that team, and please thank your team for us. I just want to quickly mention that I really appreciate having 2 members of the public, having Wayne Provincial and Val Berger It brings a lot of comfort knowing that they are with us and they're outside eyes. And it also it's a source of pride because they're out in the community and they're seeing the fine job that Edmonton Catholic is doing in terms of fiduciary responsibility. So that's all thanks to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you for those kind words, and I, as well as we, are blessed with a terrific team as you've shared, and it's wonderful to have each and every one of them. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much.
4 years, I might come looking for a job, have a little fun in there.
Thank you, Trustee Ingle. Trustee Mutala, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, and well said, Trustee Ingle and Trustee Harris. Thank you, Trustee Harris, for being the chair of our Audit and Finance Board. And thank you, Chief Superintendent Robert Martin, and all your staff, because I know that some of you went through the process of finding cost savings with the whole school system as well. And thank you to CFO James McGrattan and the whole financial team for a job well done. Thank you for being so fiscally responsible, and we're very proud that we have received a clean audit opinion by our external auditors once again. And also, I'm very proud of our system and administration area that we are only at 2.9% of the spending, and we're below the provincial allotment of 3.15 because we are so happy to have that money to go back to our schools. I also am grateful. I saw in the report that we were able to purchase new technology for our teachers as well as upgrades in many areas of our classrooms, and this will go directly to help student learning and success, and it'll help our teachers do their job better. So thank you very much for all your good hard work, and if we can buy some more technology and whatever, let's do it for our teachers and our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Mutala. Well said. Trustee Tiber, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, thank you, Trustee Harris and our public members. I'm so happy you enjoy looking at the numbers in detail, as it's not my favorite thing to do. I don't think that's any secret. And so I'm so grateful for you all and all your wisdom and detailed diligence. I also want to thank the administration for being on top of all the areas of Edmonton Catholic Schools' finances. The overall health of our division is one of the top priorities of the board, and so hearing today's report is reassuring for sure. I think it's important to restate yet again that the loss of the bridge funding that will impact our division will be significant. Yeah. And I think we need to make sure that that is acknowledged. But I'm very happy to approve our audited financial statements and that we have audited. They've been reviewed and they align with the approved accounting standards, as well as the government outlines that they have. And so well done to everyone at ECSD, because I think this finances, they truly impact everything. The schools, the kids, our downtown, everywhere. So it's very, I'm very happy to approve them today. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Tiber. Well said. Vice Chair Tuchansky, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also want to thank my colleague, Trustee Harris, and our two extraordinary public members, Val Berger and Deacon Wayne Provençal, who are no slouches in the financial world themselves. So quite frankly, to have them on our audit committee is truly extraordinary. And I also want to give deep thanks to Chief Superintendent Martin, CFO Grattan, and your team. This is, as my colleague has stated for herself, my least exciting part of my role. Numbers are not my thing. So I'm always so very grateful to know that there are better and wiser people looking at this and explaining it concisely and clearly to me and to everybody. And CFO Grattan, it's always an extraordinary job that you do. And it is, for me, it is easier to read. It's concise and it is very clear that we're in a very, very good position. And I do, of course, as my colleagues have mentioned, appreciate when our auditors say how extraordinary your team is and how cooperative and clear everything is. It really gives me a great measure of confidence. So I am also delighted that this was brought forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Tuchansky. And seeing no one else in queue, it's already all been said. I will once again commend the team. And also, I'd like to piggyback off of transparency. Because we are accountable to public spending, because they watch, because they wait to see how things are done, it is truly a blessing to be able to report, to hear at the reporting of a clean audit, recognizing that our accumulated surplus is a result of a multitude of factors that will help address the anticipated reduction of our bridge funding. And so for that, we thank you, and ditto to everything that my colleagues have said. Trustee Ingle, I did see you in queue for a second there. Do you need to say something?
Otherwise, I just wanted to also thank Megan and Ashley. They're excellent presenters, and they give a lot of good time to the board. And I don't know, are they here tonight, Chief Superintendent Martin?
They're watching, so
okay.
They will most definitely be appreciative of your kind thoughts.
I just forgot to mention that. And the other thing is the bridge funding, it's hold harmless. So I'm hopeful we're still going to get half of that in 23-24, but let's just see what happens.
Thank you very much. And so we will have an opportunity to thank him as well under 2.2, Trustee Ingle. And so at this time, I will now turn it back to Trustee Harris. Trustee Harris, do you wish to close your motion?
Just a quick comment, Madam Chair. Thanks to all. Yes, we're very, very fortunate to have such a great team, systems, processes in place, great oversight, great leadership. And thanks very much to our external members. As you mentioned, Val Berger and Deacon Wayne Provençal. Very, very much appreciated. Just a shout out to Jane Lagasse, who's going to be retiring at the end of December, and you'll definitely be missed, Jane. And we've appreciated everything that you've contributed. One thing that I just did want to mention was, and it did come out, and I think it was Trustee Matala that identified this as well as others, and that is really kudos to our executives in relation to maintaining that board and system administration cost to the 2.9 level, substantially less than the 3.15 cap, as had been identified by CFO Grattan. That translates into about $1.9 million that the division has an opportunity to reallocate as needs see fit. So that is, whether we can sustain that, who knows, but it is wonderful to know that, the chief superintendent runs a tight ship, and that we're pushing as many dollars as we can to our educational efforts. So thanks very much for that. So I on that note, I will close, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Trustee Harris, and thank you for mentioning Jane. Jane, you've been a great asset to Edmonton Catholic. We are truly going to miss you, but we wish you well in your future. I was going to say endeavors. I'm going to say in the next chapter that you pursue in your life. And so at this time, I would like to call the vote. I'll begin with you, Trustee Harris. Go ahead, please.
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Ingle?
I am in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Mutala?
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Tuchansky?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too am in favor.
Thank you. Trustee Tiber?
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I am also in favor. For the record, please note this motion is carried. And I will now turn it back to Chief Superintendent Martin as there is a second recommendation. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so, based on the evidence provided in the audited financial statements, in Auditor's Report, the Board of Trustees determines that the following quality indicators have been met as per Board Policy 12, Appendix B, relative to the current evaluation period. And so, Madam Chair, there are several here. I will just read you the numbers. It's quality indicator 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.5, 4.6, and 4.8. to save us just a little bit of time, Madam Chair.
Thank you for expediting, Chief Superintendent Martin. And once again, thank you to both you, CFO Grattan, and the team. And as this is a motion, I will turn it back to Trustee Harris to make this motion. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Yes, based on the evidence provided in the audited financial statements and auditor's report, the Board of Trustees determines that the following quality indicators have been met as per Board Policy 12, Appendix B, relative to the current evaluation period. And those are the quality indicators identified by Chief Superintendent Martin. Quality Indicator 1, 4.1, Quality Indicator 4.2, Quality Indicator 4.3, Quality Indicator 4.5, Quality Indicator 4.6, and Quality Indicator 4.8. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Harris. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So once again, then we applaud I don't see anybody else in queue. We applaud the efforts of all and express appreciation in continuing to identify those efficiencies, to balance utilization and improve operating costs to ensure that our fiscal responsibility is always to enhance the learning environments for all students. Thank you. And so at this time, I will call the vote and I will begin with you, Trustee Harris. Go ahead, please.
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Ingle.
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Mutala.
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Tuchansky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am in favor.
Thank you. And Trustee Taber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm also in favor.
Thank you. And I am also in favor. For the record, please note this motion is carried. And this now takes us to 2.2, appointment of the external auditor. And I will turn it back to you, Chief Superintendent Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And at this time, I would ask that CFO Grattan come forward to go through the appointment of an external auditor.
Thank you, Chair Palazzo and Trustees and Chief Superintendent Martin. Section 20.2 of the organizational bylaw governing the organization, management, and operation of the Board of Trustees of the Edmonton Catholic Separate School Division indicates the board shall annually appoint an external auditor to report on the financial statements of the board for the fiscal year and shall review external audit services at least every 4 years. The cycle for the 4-year review ended with the fiscal year ended August 31st, 2020. The current agreement with Grant Thornton LLP includes an opportunity to extend the engagement for the fiscal years 2021 and 21-22 with no change in terms. The Audit and Finance Committee has reviewed the performance of Grant Thornton LLP as well as the terms for 21-22 and is recommending Grant Thornton LLP be confirmed as the division's external auditor for the fiscal year 2021-2022. It is the recommendation that the Board of Trustees appoints Grant Thornton LLP as the division's external auditor for the fiscal year 21-22.
Thank you very much, CFO Grattan. And I do see Trustee Harris in queue to make this motion. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will make this motion that the Board of Trustees appoints Grant Thornton LLP as the division's external auditor for the fiscal year 2021-22.
Thank you. Did you wish to speak to your motion?
Just very quickly, as noted, the Audit and Finance Committee has reviewed this matter and agrees with this recommendation. The sense is that the division board and our community will be well served this next year by having auditors that have a deep understanding of the division and its financial systems and processes. Thanks very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And seeing no one else in queue, just once again would like to thank Grant Thornton LLP, particularly Megan DeRue and Ashley Zutz, for your exceptional and diligence reporting and for answering all of our questions during our Audit and Finance meeting. And so at this time, I will turn it back to you, Trustee Harris. Did you wish to close your motion?
No, Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. And so we will proceed to call the vote, beginning with you, Trustee Harris. Go ahead, please.
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Trustee Ingle.
I am in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Ingle. Trustee Mutala.
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Mutala. Vice Chair Tuchansky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am in favor.
Thank you, Vice Chair Tuchansky. Trustee Taber.
In favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Taber. And I am also in favor. For the record, please note the motion is carried. And next on the agenda is 2.3, St. Basil Catholic Elementary Junior High School school closure proposal. And I will turn it to you, Chief Superintendent Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees. And so we're going to begin with a presentation this evening regarding the St. Basil Catholic Elementary Junior High Catholic School. And so I would ask Superintendent Fiacco to take the floor as he begins his presentation.
Thank you, Chief Superintendent Martin. I'll just quickly share my screen.
We would need perfect.
Are we good?
It's good.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chair, through the Board of Trustees, as we all know, back in September of 2019, the senior administration created an initiative called Walking Together Towards a Glorious Future. Our goals at that time, and still to this day, are to improve operational costs, balance utilization, while at the same time enhancing the learning environments and finding efficiencies that can benefit all students in the division in an equitable fashion. During that same school year, the Alberta Education Ministry came forth with very similar messaging to us as a division, asking us to look for ways to improve our utilization and find efficiencies with our costs. The report I'm about to share with you today is a reflection of the continued work in its third year of Walking Together Towards a Glorious Future with respect to St. Basil's Catholic Elementary Junior High School. So a quick history and some background to the school. The school was built in 1952 with 5 additions to the building. The last addition was in 1972. At one time, the school thrived with serving over 700 students in the community, and it was a community school. But as is typical, as Edmonton ages and gets bigger, the demographics in this part of the city waned. And in 1991, to help the school be viable, Polish bilingual K-6 program was added. Over the next 10 years, up to 2001, all community students were then redesignated as we found that there weren't enough community students in the area to keep them designated at St. Basil's. And so it's important to note here that St. Basil has not been a community school for the past 20 years. Also in 2001, as we redesignated students to the surrounding schools, a decision was made to increase the Polish bilingual programming to include K-9. And that with that decision, we introduced citywide busing. And at the time, you can imagine that the city was a little bit smaller in size, a little bit different configured than it is now in 2021 in terms of the challenges that we're faced with right now with transportation. Since it's been a Polish bilingual program, the enrollment rose to over 300 students in 2008, but has since declined, creating current viability issues. So as per policy 14, there's many factors that come into play when we're looking at the closure of a potential closure of a school. All we need is one factor to bring forth, but as you can see by this screen, the school possesses 5 of those factors. And throughout this presentation, I will address each one of those. As we're familiar, we brought forth a proposal in 2019 and 20, where we asked for the relocation of the Polish bilingual programming. And at that time, during our public engagement, you can see here a summation of the speaking points from the presenters. And it was made very clear at that point that there was no support from the community to move the program. As a matter of fact, statements are made in terms of the future of the program is dependent on maintaining its current location. Also important to note that over the past 5 years, 105 students have left the program, transitioning from grade to grade. And during that evening, there's several students' parents that spoke publicly as to the importance of learning the Polish language and culture program. But unfortunately, they did not return for September 2020, choosing to leave the division. So, as was directed by the Board of Trustees since March of 2020, there's many steps that we've taken in terms of supporting the program and trying to increase enrollment. So, in addition to the cross-subsidization of the operation of this program to the tune of $1.87 million in transportation costs, division support and min costs. The division has also done the following. In April 21 of 2020, the division attended a virtual school council meeting to discuss promotion of the Polish bilingual program. At the parents' request, a comprehensive marketing strategy was developed where we spent 5 times more than we normally would on a similar language program. In June 2020, the division also created a new Facebook page for the school. In September of 2020, September 29th, the division met with the school to discuss the current enrollment challenges and budgeting for the 2020-2021 school year. On October 6th, the division attended a Polish bilingual school council meeting to discuss current enrollment, budget challenges, and programming options for students. We also introduced a survey tool to solicit feedback from the community in terms of how we can improve enrollment. December 3rd, there was an internal meeting to review a marketing plan to promote the Polish bilingual program. And December 14th, banners were created and established throughout the city. December 15th, the results of the survey were shared. And at that time, plans to move the JFLA were announced to the community, trying to create, and by this move, we're trying to create a stronger Polish community presence in the entire facility. January 15th, a request was made by the school to increase the lease space, which was granted. So we increased lease space, and you'll see later on how that affected utilization. Excuse me. The school also requested and was granted the ability to promote and advertise a Polish bilingual program citywide. And in that vein, swift messages were sent out to all ECSD families, advertising the program on 3 separate occasions, February 1st, 7th, and 15th. On February 1st and February 6th, the division attended a school council meeting to discuss the marketing plan and the JFLA relocation. And then on February 16th, a virtual open house was had at St. Basil's Catholic Elementary Junior High School. Other strategies and consultations that we've performed since that date was through some strategic planning. We were able to lower the net capacity of the school from 733 in 2018-19 to the current net capacity of 414. So net capacity is the denominator we use in calculating utilization. But despite that effort, the St. Basil utilization still currently sits at 55%. On May 6th, prior to the survey tool being sent out, a proposal was made by the community, by the St. Basil community, to impose a Hockey Canada skills program. The proposal included an application package, a fee structure, a possible school calendar, a weekly schedule, and the results of a school survey sent to St. Basil's Catholic Elementary Junior High School parents. Poor interest from the community, only 11 people were interested, and constraints of dealing with an external agency to provide educational service made this option not viable. As I mentioned prior, we issued a survey to the community, and on October 8th, via SWIFT, we sent out a survey, and from that survey, we gleaned the following. 10% of the students plan to leave the program after grade 6. They wanted more access to enhanced clubs and options, and unfortunately, with the enrollment numbers the way they are, that's hard to accomplish with limited staffing resources, and this makes it that difficult to achieve. They wanted to increase the number of buses to reduce travel time, and as you'll see later on in the presentation, we've committed quite a substantial amount of money towards transportation, so going in that direction would not improve any efficiencies. Other suggestions were introduce swimming classes at NAEP, but unfortunately the NAEP pool is now closed. A popular suggestion was that let's improve marketing and the visibility of the program throughout the city, and you'll see that that was achieved. Online learning for nationwide students. We investigated this with Alberta Education, and through time zone issues, legal service agreements, and cost to the families, because any students outside Alberta are not funded, so we'd have to charge thousands of dollars for that to occur. So despite the strong and vigorous marketing plan and efforts made by the division, the Polish bilingual program has not increased their enrollment, and projections for the future are not favorable. So what's the current situation as of November 10th, or November 24th, 2021? The area demographics remain poor. There's only one student that's been generated from the Blatchford area, and that student attends elsewhere. Enrollment continues to decline. Financial challenges still exist. There's a projected deficit of $578,000 for the end of this school year. Transportation costs and inefficiencies continue at this location, as we're using $417,000 in instructional dollars this year alone. So minimally, the accumulated debt this year alone is going to be approximately $1.112 million. And it's important to note that all this money is over and above the basic funding that this school would get for its enrollment currently. And this is funding that needs to be taken from other schools in the division. So as we look at the area demographics, and demographics in the world of planning is very important. This gives us the data that we need to determine the number of schools in an area and the type of school we need to build in the area. And since we did the consultation, nothing has changed. Simply put, there are not enough students in these areas to justify a 5th community school at St. Basil's. There are currently 397 ECSD students residing in the communities listed, but unfortunately, these students attend schools that are already in the community. There's 4 schools serving these communities, and their utilization rates are an average of 69%, ranging from 63% up to 78%. One thing we heard loud and clear at the last engagement, that Blatchford would be the newest community, and Blatchford would produce students that could attend St. Basil's. And as I already mentioned, we've only seen 1 additional student registration in Edmonton Catholic schools from that area, and that student is not attending St. Basil. We remain confident that the growth that we would experience at Blatchford can be served by the 4 designated schools we have currently. And if not, then we do have a site in Blatchford that we can possibly build a school in the future if we find that the numbers don't come in as planned. And one other thing that's important to note is Blatchford is going to take the next 30 to 35 years to develop. When we look at enrollment and utilization, excuse me, there are some huge significant enrollment challenges as we see here on this chart. The numbers in red signify a drop in enrollment from year to year. So students from transitioning from grade to grade, we find that there's enrollment challenges as students progress through the grades. So since the 2019 and 2020 consideration for relocation, the program has seen a further 10% decrease in enrollment. It's now 24 students, and as a matter of fact, last week 3 more students left the program. So the current enrollment right now is 207. And based on 5 years of historical trends and analysis, it is projected that the school enrollment will decline an additional 8% by 2026, 2027. Since 2016, September 2016, and this is significant, 105 students previously enrolled in the Polish bilingual program did not return for their subsequent year, choosing to go to their community ECSD school. If those 105 students would have remained in the Polish bilingual program, the school's utilization would be approximately 76% and would have brought in an additional $597,000 in base funding for the school. Furthermore, the pre-pandemic retention rate is poor at St. Basil's, as we found that 1 out of every 2 students registered for kindergarten will remain in the program to its completion through to grade 9. This statistic explains the current number of junior high students being at 49%, which is simply not a viable or sustainable number. When we look at utilization, as we all know, Alberta Education a couple years ago introduced a funding model where schools that are below 85% in utilization will receive less operation and maintenance funding, which is approximately $20 per square meter. The division is currently experiencing a shortfall in O&M funding based on this utilization measure of $1.7 million per year due to underutilized space funding. So despite efforts made by the division to reconfigure instructional spaces and the utilization of St. Basil's, The utilization rate sits at 55% with 206 non-funded spaces. So the closure of the school and the subsequent redesignation of all students back to the community school will have a positive effect on utilization for the division overall, as we would see the utilization would increase from 84% to 85%. As we look at the financial information, since 2016, we see that the division has redirected over $2.4 million of instruction dollars away from other community schools. This is equivalent to 1 year of funding for 2 of the division's elementary schools. So again, I want to reiterate that these dollars are taken away from other schools to support the programming at this one school for the operations, transportation, and admin costs. And if we look at the average subsidy that we have supported the school with since 2016, in order to support operations and staffing, we've had to allocate an additional $1.453 million since 2016, which comes to an average of $242,310 per year. In terms of transportation, we have to take dollars directly from the instructional envelope to the tune of $3.446 million, and to an average. So the average of that subsidy is $574,441. And despite all that, the projected deficit this year at St. Basil's is at $578,962. So if we total up all those numbers, the total added cross-subsidized dollars needed from the instruction envelope over and above base funding and money that's taken away from other schools is $5,479,477. If we take transportation out of the equation and just look at the cost to operate the school, the forecasted accumulated cross-subsidy to the school through to August 31st, 2022 would be $2 million, just over $2 million. This is over 14 times more than a similar language program. If St. Basil Catholic School were to close, the division would save approximately $989,000 annually in subsidizing operations, transportation, and admin costs, which is equivalent to the base funding of the schools such as St. Mark or St. Martha. Another perspective would be that the relocation of these funds would eliminate the committed deficit of 7 of our schools currently. When we look at transportation, what we have to realize with transportation is we get funding to transport students to the catchment school in the area. So if we have a situation where we have 2 students living next door to each other, one chooses their catchment school, another one chooses a school of choice, a program of choice, we have to add an additional bus cost to the division. An additional bus route to the division is approximately $57,000. So as I mentioned already earlier, we have spent an average of over $574,000 per year over the past 6 years at St. Basil's. That amount is staggering. The transportation cost per student for St. Basil's is $3,572, which is 451% above the division average. And if we look at that number again, $3,572, and we consider how much money we get in base funding to educate the student, about 65% of that allocation is being used to simply get the student to and from the school. And when we look at the utilization rate of our bus routes with respect to this school, the average utilization is 24% per route. Our division average is about 52%. And some of the buses have only 6 students on them. So to break even, if we were to move forward and try to recoup the costs from the transportation that we've invested into the program, I'm sorry, I just realized something here, into the program, that we would have to charge families $3,330 per month extra in order to recoup our losses there. So So if St. Basil were to close, we realize over a $400,000 savings and reduction in number of routes that we would need. And once again, I want to reiterate that the need to subsidize transportation comes from the instructional envelope. And the community impact. So in response to the City of Edmonton's 2020 community impact and of St. Basil Catholic Elementary Junior High School to close, ECSD would commit to the following in support of the Polish bilingual program and the greater community. We would allow all current tenants the opportunity to renew their leases in the 2022 school year, allow the St. Basil Catholic Elementary Junior High School facility to continue to offer community bookings with the JUA, and we make available rental space to the Polish community at a fair and reasonable rate. Next steps, if the Board of Trustees approves the commencement of the formal process to consider the closure of St. Basil Catholic Elementary Junior High, all stakeholders will be advised of the Board Trustees' motion on November 24th, 2021. The division invites all stakeholders to join the public participation process to be held on January 17th, 2022 to gather information, ask questions, and share their thoughts regarding the possible closure. Further information about the event and how feedback for consideration may be submitted will be shared with all stakeholders by December 15th, 2021. The final motion regarding whether to close the school will be considered at the February 23rd, 2022 public board meeting. And now I'll turn it over to Chief Superintendent Martin to read the recommendation.
Thank you, Superintendent Fiacco. And an administration never wants to make such recommendations. But as you can see from the report and the presentation, it doesn't appear that we have any choice. And so, Madam Chair, our recommendation is that the Board of Trustees hereby provides notice that a motion regarding the closure of St. Basil Catholic Elementary Junior High effective June 30th, 2022 be considered at the Board of Trustees public meeting scheduled for Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022.
Thank you, Chief Superintendent Martin, Superintendent Fiacco, and team for this very detailed and informative presentation. And as this is a motion, I'm going to turn it over to Vice Chair Tuchansky, who's in queue, to please make this motion. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make the motion that the Board of Trustees hereby provides notice that a motion regarding the closure of St. Basil Catholic Elementary Junior High, effective June 30th, 2022, be considered at the Board of Trustees public meeting scheduled for Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022.
Thank you, Vice Chair Tuchansky. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
I do.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't make this motion lightly. Despite the collaborative efforts of the division, the school, and the community, enrollment at St. Basil Catholic Elementary Junior High School continues to decline. Through the initiative of Walking Together Towards a Glorious Future, the Edmonton Catholic School Division is committed to continuing to find the effective and efficient ways to provide a learning environment that aligns with the division plan for continuous growth.
Thank you, Vice Chair Tuchansky. Before calling the vote, I will open it up to the board for any further discussion, questions, comments, and I do see Trustee Tiber in queue. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to thank administration for explaining why we are here today. I do not have anything to add, as it is now my job to take all the information from our public and the public participation process, that's a mouthful, and to be able to take all that information into consideration in order to come to a vote if this motion passes. I do support this motion. I do support having the process continue at this point, and I do support to see and commitment to listen to the community, to hear, and to learn, and to be just to take all the information and to make an informed decision. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Tiber. I do recognize you, Trustee Harrison Q. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair and colleagues. Again, I want to thank administration for its diligence in assessing the situation, providing a comprehensive report and update. That is what we should be hearing today, an assessment, an update, not a proposal to commence a process of considering closure. I think that I'm torn on this one because you certainly make a very compelling argument, and yet at the same time, the board, a very short period of time ago, provided direction to administration to work with this community. I do not support this proposal at this time. I oppose it for the reasons noted earlier. It is too soon. It is too early. 20 months, 2 enrollment cycles, at the best of times, would be a very short time frame to be seeing sustainable turnaround. But in this situation, in the middle of a pandemic, with all the associated disruptions and stresses and constraints, even on our daily activities, to think that this community could turn this around in these circumstances is completely unrealistic. And this community should not be held to that standard at this time. And also, I don't think that it was the intention of the board a mere 20 months ago when we provided direction to administration to work with the community. I think that we knew it was going to be at least an intermediate term project of 3 or 4 enrollment cycles. At least that certainly was my expectation. In addition to those concerns with this proposal, let me add another. As we are about to see in our annual education results report, enrollments across the entire spectrum of our major language programs have fallen over the last couple of years, about 3% for programs other than the Polish program. Every major language program has seen a modest drop in enrollment since 2019. And yes, the drop in the Polish program has been more than that. But that's understandable since no other language program has had a public debate going on as to whether it will continue or not. So in that context, where we're seeing drops in enrollment in other language programs, in that context, it should not be unexpected that the Polish program enrollment has dropped as well. And as such, it is not an appropriate time to be commencing consideration for closure. That time may come, and it may well come in the foreseeable future. Clearly, the program with its current enrollment is not sustainable by a long shot. But while we remain ever hopeful that the enrollment challenges can be overcome in the near future, we keep an open mind and assess the situation on the basis of its evidence. That being said, this is not the time to commence this process at this time, given the commitment that was made to the community 20 months ago. 2 enrollment cycles in the middle of a pandemic. I ask for your reconsideration of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Harris. And seeing no one else in queue, then I will insert myself. And I'd like to applaud the efforts of all to ensure that effective stewardship is for your effective stewardship, and that we are adhering to policy. And while our Chief Superintendent said it best, while we never like to serve notice such as this, it is important to engage with our stakeholders, providing opportunity to gather information and ask questions to ensure that we are making informed, objective decisions in the best interest of our students and division. And so that said, I'm going to turn it back to Vice Chair Turchansky. Do you wish to close your motion, Vice Chair Turchansky?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And so at this time, I will now proceed to call the vote, beginning with Trustee Harris. Go ahead, please.
I am not in favor of the recommendation, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Harris. Trustee Engel.
I am in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Engel. Trustee Mutala.
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Mutala. Vice Chair Turchansky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too am in favor.
Thank you, Vice Chair Turchansky. Trustee Tiber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am in favor.
Thank you, Trustee Tiber, and I am also in favor. For the record, please note the motion is carried. I will now turn it back to Chief Superintendent Martin for the second recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Based on the evidence provided in the report, St. Basil Catholic Elementary Junior High School closure proposal, the Board of Trustees determines that the following quality indicators have been met as per Board Policy 12, Appendix B, relative to the current evaluation period. So quality indicator 8.3 develops short and long range plans to meet the needs of the division and provide for continuous improvement. And 8.4 ensures key results identified by the board are achieved.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Martin. Once again, as this is a motion, I will turn it back to Vice Chair Tuchanski to please make this motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make the motion that based on the evidence provided in the report, St. Basil Catholic Elementary Junior High School closure proposal, the Board of Trustees determines that the following quality indicators as read have been met, as per Board Policy 12, Appendix B, relative to the current evaluation period.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Tuchanski. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and I will open it up to the board to see if there's anyone else who would like to comment, ask for clarification, questions. Seeing no one else in queue, then I will turn it back. Vice Chair Tuchanski, you said you didn't want to speak. I'm assuming you don't want to close the motion either, correct?
Thank you. That's right, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I will now proceed to call the vote then, beginning with Trustee Harris. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Given the language of this recommendation, I am in favor.
Thank you very much, Trustee Harris. Trustee Ingle, go ahead, please.
In favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Ingle. Trustee Mutala?
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Mutala. Vice Chair Tuchanski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too am in favor.
Thank you, Vice Chair Tuchanski. Trustee Tiber?
I am also in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Tiber, and I am also in favor. For the record, please note the motion is carried. And so at this time, next on the agenda is 2.4, Our Lady of Mount Carmel Catholic Elementary Junior High School Junior High Program School Closure Proposal, and I will turn it back to you, Chief Superintendent Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so once again, I would call on Superintendent Fiacco, as this is another presentation he has for you. And we can see it very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Superintendent Martin. Under the same lens of Walk Together Towards Glorious Future, I'm bringing forth another recommendation to consider for the board in terms of programming at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Junior High. Some background regarding Our Lady of Mount Carmel was built in 1925, so it's a fairly old building, but those of you who have driven by it, it's a very beautiful building with a beautiful frontage. Net capacity of the school is 522 students, and right now it's a K-9 currently serving 240 students, 149 of those students in elementary and 91 students in junior high. And that is the basis of this proposal, is that we only have 91 students in the junior high, and there's some challenges that we're experiencing at the school in programming. Since 2016, enrollment has dropped by 217 students. And you might be wondering why I keep on using the number 2016 or comparing to 2016. In planning, we look at a 5-year stretch, and we look at trends and patterns and projections for the future. So we've noticed it's over the past 5 years, this enrollment's dropped by 217 students. Students within the school are made up of recreation academy students, soccer academy students, hockey academy students, and elite academy students. There's 116 of those students in grades 3 to 9, and there are 124 community students in K to 9. The school also has a full day kindergarten program with 25 students. That gives the context of the community. And once again, as per policy 14, there's many factors. This school possesses 3 of those factors. The one factor that is, from our perspective in planning, most concerning is the program delivery and the effectiveness of the program delivery in the junior high. As we experienced that the option classes for the non-academy students are minimal, and we need to find ways to provide that experience, a more robust and enhanced experience for those students remaining behind. So Our Lady of Mount Carmel has been declining enrollment, like I said, since 2016. So we've taken numerous measures to support the school and increase enrollment. And some of those measures include implementing a kindergarten with a full day program. We've engaged the parent community last school year in 2020 to inform them of the enrollment challenges and the budget challenges, and to engage with them in a survey to get some feedback from them and strategies and how to move forward. We've increased the attendance area, and that's again another typical strategy in the planning area, is to add communities to the catchment area. We added 4 additional communities for a total of 12 communities that are being in the catchment area of Our Lady of Mount Carmel Elementary Junior High School. This is one of the largest catchment areas in the city for one school. For this school year, we introduced the enhanced academic program at the junior high level, hoping that we would garner some more students from in and around the area. Over the past 5 years, the division has invested $22,700, and the school, I should say, and the division partnered up to invest $22,000 in direct or indirect marketing initiatives to grow the enrollment at Our Lady of Mount Carmel. And as I mentioned earlier, in 2020-2021, we conducted a survey, and the intent was to obtain input on previous marketing initiatives and figure out ways of how we can promote the academy and get more students into the building. What we heard from that survey, we had 85 parents respond. And parents told us during that engagement that they wanted to be known for more than just the academy. They wanted stronger academic presence in an academy, similar to the academic challenge that's being offered in one of the nearby sport academy schools in Edmonton Public. Parents also told us they want as many elementary age students. Parents told us that many elementary age students leave the community to attend a K-6 school in an area that has a science program. So these are anecdotal stories that were shared by during our parent evening, where there was a neighbor that could have easily gone to Our Lady of Mount Carmel, but chose a focus program outside their catchment and went to that school instead. And as we looked at the data from the survey, we noticed that feedback came back loud and clear that 62% of the respondents wanted a focused STEM program for their elementary students. As I mentioned earlier, we tried a enhanced academic program, but only 17 students are registered in that currently, making it a very difficult program to run. And unfortunately, we didn't glean any more students into that program from outside the catchment. Also from that survey, as I mentioned before, we're making a recommendation right now to start a K-6 STEM program for the next school year. Excuse me. The current situation is, despite the division support over the past 5 years, we still realize a severe drop in enrollment, 48% overall. Part of that number is a 142% student drop in academies alone. In September 2021, while academy students are in their chosen sports courses, there are only 30 non-academy junior high students present during the afternoon instructional blocks. And the makeup is, it's a cross-graded section of grade 7, 8, 9, 16 students in grade 7, 4 in grade 8, and 10 in grade 9. And what we want to do is we need to switch the narrative and create conditions where we create an inverse scenario where a smaller proportion of the students leave for academy and a larger segment stay behind to access a typical junior high experience, similar to many of our other junior high sport academy schools in the division. But it's hard to achieve at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Junior High to create that environment, because we have limited staffing resources. That creates conditions where it's difficult to deliver a wide range of experiences. There's only one teacher remaining behind to teach. So students take phys ed, health, art, or computer tech in a combined setting, so everyone gets the same options. There's no student voice or student choice in their programming, which leads to poor student engagement. And that's shown by the retention rate. When we look at the retention rate at Our Lady of Mount Carmel, it's very high after grade 6. Students are very happy in the elementary, as 94% of the students remain, versus after the grade 9 year, we only have 33% of the students remain with Edmonton Catholic schools. So that's 2 out of every 3 students move away from the division. Again, part of the issues with Our Lady of Mount Carmel is the area demographics. The school right now has only 98 out of the 240 students that are living within the boundary. And it's in an older part of the city with a lower average number of 0 to 4-year-olds. However, if we extrapolate the number of 0 to 4-year-olds and look at what we should have enrolled based on our 30% metric, which basically means that out of all the 0 to 4-year-olds in the area, we could expect 30% of those students to attend or choose Edmonton Catholic schools. So if we extrapolate the current numbers in those 12 areas, we would have approximately 206 students, in-boundary students, that we should be getting at Our Lady of Mount Carmel rather than the 94 that we have currently. And our projected enrollment, if we were to garner those students, would be 288 non-academy students. And also in the other graphic you'll see here is over the past 5 years, 112 students did not return to Our Lady of Mount Carmel, which translates into $447,000 in base funding. The current financials, while they're not ideal, it's not one of our main factors here. We've had to cross-subsidize at Our Lady of Mount Carmel since 2016, an average of $44,000 per year. The current operating deficit is $149,000, and the proposed change would save the division approximately $100,000 per year on custodial or admin support. The current transportation situation we have right now is we have 1 dedicated bus route that serves Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and we have 12 other bus routes that we share with other schools. There's 27 students on the dedicated route and 37 students being transported through the other 12 routes. And proposed changes that we have for this community would show that, would see that there's no net, a net zero effect on transportation. Would it cost the division more or cost us any less to propose the changes? And I want to talk specifically about the changes right now. And these changes came about through the public consultation, our engagement process that we implemented last year. What we want to propose for the next school year is the enhanced academic program, hockey academy, soccer academy, and elite athlete programs located at Our Lady of Mount Carmel be relocated to Louis Saint Laurent Catholic Junior High School, Catholic Junior Senior High School, I'm sorry. The Junior High Recreation Academy, currently located at Our Lady of Mount Carmel, will be relocated to St. Brendan Catholic Elementary Junior High School. The Golf Academy at St. Brendan's will close, and the Recreation Academy students wishing can continue to St. Brendan can use existing bus service that's already provided. We would redefine the current junior high attendance boundaries for Our Lady of Mount Carmel to the affected areas and double designate those areas to Louis Saint Laurent and or St. Brendan Catholic Elementary Junior High School. And as I mentioned earlier, we would implement a green STEM elementary program at Our Lady of Mount Carmel. I'd like to talk more specifically about each one of those proposed changes and the rationale. The first change we want to look at is the enhanced academic program. It's going to Louis Saint Laurent. The EAP program prepares students for high intellectual engagement by starting the development of skills and acquisition of knowledge as early as possible. We tried it at Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and one of the reasons for the lack of success is basically due to numbers. When you only have 91 students in the junior high, it's hard to get that full class size. So it's our thinking that in moving it to Louis Saint Laurent, that's got a junior high population of 528, we can easily create 1, if not 2, EAP classes per grade in junior high. And when we take into consideration that there be a net zero effect in transportation, as Louis Saint Laurent has an excellent bus service, this would be a strong recommendation from the division. When we look at the rationale for the relocation of the sport academies, students would have access to the newly renovated facilities that have been created at Confederation Park that's right beside Louis Saint Laurent. So once again, the Hockey Academy, Soccer Academy, and Elite Athlete Academies would relocate to Louis Saint Laurent Junior High School. This would create a great continuum in programming from grades 7 to 12. This would also provide, because this is 7 to 12, provide great collaboration efforts between junior high and high school academies, and could potentially include student mentorships, joint ice field sessions, and coaching partnerships. Louis Saint Laurent also has 2 24-passenger transporters, which could support the travel to and from different venues around the city that is required for these sport academies. Also, it's worthy to mention that students in the Junior High Recreation Academy at Arlay Carmel can continue the Recreation Academy at St. Brendan's and still have access to busing without incurring any cost to division, as there's busing already in the area for the Spanish bilingual program and the Ukrainian bilingual program. Sorry, one more note I want to make here is by creating this continuum of 7 to 12, it would be proposed that we'd have a better retention rate of students moving from grade 9 into grade 10. As I mentioned earlier, 2 out of every 3 students right now after grade 9 at Arlay Carmel leave the division. And this group of 30 students would probably benefit the most from the proposed changes, as their junior high experience would improve dramatically. These are the 30 students that remain behind every afternoon as the academy students leave to go pursue their training. If they choose St. Brendan, parents can still have their children together in a K-9 if they desire. As I mentioned earlier, bus routes already exist in the area. The net effect on those bus routes is that the Arlay Carmel route would decrease its utilization rate from 49% to 23%. However, the ride times would be reduced from 22 minutes to 16 minutes. St. Brendan's utilization would increase from, I'm talking about transportation utilization, would increase from 58% to 84%. And the ride times would increase about 8 minutes one way per day. And if they choose Louis Saint Laurent, they would access the ETS service. So that'll make it easier for them to get to that school as well. And then once again, by promoting students into one of these 2 junior high schools, or they would have an excellent experience, and either choice would provide a great experience for the students and help retain those students in our high schools. The other change that will be implemented next year is the need to create an academic focus at Arlay Carmel, and that is the vision here, is to create an academic community, an academic hub, an academic reputation within this area for parents to want to bring their students to the school. We need something there to set it apart from other schools around them. Parents of the school community indicated their desire to have a science-focused program. And it's with that in mind that we will be implementing the Green STEM program at Arlay Carmel next year. Green STEM program was recently implemented at St. Vincent's, at St. Angela as well, in addition to the one that we've currently had for years over at on the south side at, oh goodness, I'm sorry. So we would have a rich pool of teachers and administrators be made available to support this initiative. St. Richard's, I'm sorry, St. Richard's is the school that's had it for many years. I don't know why that just blanked out. So the overall impacts of these changes is we would check off a lot of the boxes from walking together a plan, which is to enhance learning environments for the Arlay Carmel Junior High students currently. We'd have better utilization rates at St. Brendan's and at Louis Saint Laurent. We have an improved flow of programming for our academy students, better retention of students through to grade 12, cost savings and efficiencies for Arlay Carmel, no added expenditures for transportation, and the creation of an academic-focused elementary program. Our next steps, should the Board of Trustees approve the commencement of the formal process to consider the closure of Arlay Carmel Catholic Junior High, all stakeholders will be advised of the Board of Trustees motion on November 24th, 2021. division invites all stakeholders to join the public participation process to be held on January 20th, 2022 to gather information, ask questions, and share their thoughts regarding the possible closure. Further information about the event and how to provide feedback for consideration may be submitted and will be shared with all stakeholders by December 15th, 2021. And the final motion regarding whether to close and relocate the junior high school will be considered at the February 23rd, 2022 public board meeting. Now I'll turn it over to Chief Superintendent Martin.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Fiacco. And Madam Chair, as you can see, again, our focus is on students, and we firmly believe that this will be an enhancement to the junior high students going into the other two schools. It'll be a phenomenal opportunity. And the increased academic program for the elementary school will be just wonderful for that community. And, Chair, we recommend that the Board of Trustees hereby provides notice that a motion regarding the closure of the grade 7, 8, 9, the junior high program only, located at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Catholic Elementary Junior High School, effective June 30th, 2022, be considered at the Board of Trustees public meeting scheduled for Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022.
Thank you, Chief Superintendent Martin, and phenomenal opportunities is what we're all about and what we'd like to continue to provide our students. Thank you for that. Superintendent Fiacco and team, thank you once again for providing another comprehensive presentation. And this is a motion, and so I will turn it over to Vice Chair Turchansky to please make this motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make the motion that the Board of Trustees hereby provides notice that a motion regarding the closure of the grade 7, 8, and 9, the junior high program, located at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Catholic Elementary Junior High School, effective June 30th, 2022, be considered at the Board of Trustees public meeting scheduled for Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022.
Thank you, Vice Chair Turchansky. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the initiative of walking together towards a glorious future, the Edmonton Catholic School Division is committed to continuing to find effective and efficient ways to provide a learning environment that aligns with the division plan for continuous growth. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said. I will open it up to the board. Just looking at the queue, I don't see anyone there, so I'm prepared to call the vote. Before doing so, once again, I would like to reiterate, as I did before, I'd like to applaud the efforts to ensure that effective leadership continues to happen at Edmonton Catholic and that we are adhering to our policy. And as indicated earlier, while we never like to serve, make decisions of this nature, it is important to engage with our stakeholders, providing those opportunities where we can gather information, ask questions, and to ensure that we are making informed, objective decisions in the best interest of our students and division. And so at this time, Vice Chair Turchansky, I'd like to ask you, would you like to close your motion?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I will now proceed to call the vote, beginning with Trustee Harris. Go ahead, please.
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Ingle?
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Mutala?
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Turchansky?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too am in favor.
Thank you. Trustee Tiber?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm also in favor.
Thank you. And I am also in favor. For the record, please note the motion is carried. I will now turn it back to you, Chief Superintendent Martin, for the next recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Based on the evidence provided in the report, Our Lady of Mount Carmel Catholic Elementary Junior High School Junior High Program School Closure Proposal, the Board of Trustees determines that the following quality indicators have been met as per Board Policy 12, Appendix B, relative to the current evaluation period. Quality Indicator 8.3 develops short and long-range plans to meet the needs of the division and provide for continuous improvement. And 8.4 ensures key results identified by the board are achieved.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chief Superintendent Martin. And as this is a motion, I will turn it to you, Vice Chair Turchansky, to please make this motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make the motion that based on the evidence provided in the report, Our Lady of Mount Carmel Catholic Elementary Junior High School Junior High Program School Closure Proposal, the Board of Trustees determines that the following quality indicators as read have been met as per Board Policy 12, Appendix B, relative to the current evaluation period.
Thank you, Vice Chair Tuchanski. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And seeing no one else in queue, we will proceed to call the vote, beginning with Trustee Harris. Go ahead, please.
I am in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Engel?
I am in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Mutala?
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Tuchanski?
I too am in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Tiber?
In favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I am also in support of the motion, and therefore, for the record, please be advised that the motion is also carried. And so at this time, we will now gladly move on to 3.1, the Alternative Education Report, and I will turn it back to you, Chief Superintendent Martin.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And so now we're going to just do a bit of a different kind of take. We have Superintendent Nacarado. He is Superintendent of Student Support Services and has a wonderful report on alternative education for Edmonton Catholic Schools to present to you this evening. Superintendent Nacarado, it's all yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Trustees, Chief Superintendent Martin. I'm joined today by our Edmonton Catholic School of Alternative Education admin team, Director Santos Saporito, Principal Derek Hatch, and Assistant Principals Maria Cuccis and Gino Ripoli. Together, we are extremely proud to share our report with you. Edmonton Catholic School of Alternative Education's mission is to provide flexible alternative educational opportunities to students within a Christ-centered learning environment while providing opportunities for students to achieve high school completion. Edmonton Catholic School of Alternative Education offers programs and services that empower students to be responsible global citizens and to create positive relationships in a safe and caring faith-based environment. We provide flexible, personalized opportunities, creating dedicated, lifelong learners. Edmonton Catholic School of Alternative Education is dedicated to working as a unit to provide diverse educational opportunities. This work is about shifting mindsets and changing practices to enhance student engagement, improve student learning outcomes, and increase high school completion rates. It is my pleasure to welcome Director Santos Saporito to begin our presentation.
Thank you, Superintendent Nacarado. Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, Chief Superintendent Robert Martin. We thank you for the opportunity to share the wonderful programs and services that Edmonton Catholic School of Alternative Education encompasses. For the purpose of this presentation, we would like to refer to Edmonton Catholic School of Alternative Education as Alternative Education. In the fall of 1999, Edmonton Catholic Schools formalized the Department of Lifelong Learning and Alternative Education Services. The department served as a vehicle to facilitate new direction in student learning. Today, Alternative Education is proud to continue this tradition. Alternative Education is dedicated to working as a unit with departments and our community high schools to provide diverse educational opportunities. A fine example of this is our partnership with Learning Services in the creation of dual credit program that is now offering 9 courses at 3 past sites to an estimated 180 students. As many of our high schools continue to move forward with improving student and teacher learning, Alternative Education is committed to working with all high schools and departments to continue to rethink and redesign the delivery of our curriculum across the division. Alternative Education believes that a stronger connection with all high schools is critical as we prepare students to be active, engaged, and successful participants in an increasingly knowledge-based global society. This work will continue to alter methodologies and improve practices in our division high schools to enhance student engagement, improve student learning outcomes, and increase the likelihood of high school completion. The importance of this partnership will be further elaborated in this presentation. Alternative Education encompasses the programs and services highlighted on this slide. All of our programs are considered division programs as one time or another, they are available to all students. Our programs operate during traditional hours, after school hours, evenings, weekends, and throughout July and early August. These programs have had a significant positive impact on division completion rates and ensured student learning is inclusive and student-centered. Alternative education consists of 4 Cardinal Collins Catholic Academic Centers, formerly known as Fresh Start, Revelation Online, PASS, Summer School, and several other division programs providing programming for high school students that range in age from 14 to 20 years old. We also are responsible for additional alternative support programs for students. These include Alberta Health Services Day and Recovery Programs, formerly known as ADAC. Furthermore, alternative education oversees home education that supports grade 1 to grade 12 students that allows parents to be their primary educator. We view all of our programs and services as essential supports to an estimated 11,000 students enrolled and or registered last year. It is important to understand that a significant portion of our student population are not our primary students, as they spend the majority of their high school academic time in our community high schools. Even though ECSD high school students complete a substantial amount of their academics with alternative education, the completion rate is typically awarded to the community high schools and not alternative education. For example, a student who transitions to alternative education in their grade 11 or 12 year and then returns to their community high school will most likely be considered a completer at their community school, as they will have received more credits from that school as compared to the credits at alternative education. In addition, where our community high schools are aware of their student enrollment as of September 30th, alternative education is not, as our programs have constant student registration throughout the year. For most of our programs, our September student enrollment can increase 5-fold by the time we end the academic year. Traditionally, Alternative Education Board reports have focused on our amazing programs and services and high school completion. We will once again focus on some of our programs. However, the main purpose of this report will be to highlight trends and issues related to student achievement, innovative means to improve measurable student achievement, and as we move forward, ensuring there is quantifiable improved student achievement over time. Furthermore, and embedded in this presentation will be an overview of alternative education student supports, assessment initiatives, teacher professional development, and complemented by Alberta Education and division data, along with alternative education data on how they will impact student achievement. And at this time, I'd like to hand over the presentation to Principal Derek Hatch.
Thank you, Santo. Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, Chief Superintendent Martin, thank you for this opportunity. The first thing that I want to speak about is our wonderful students. Students come to us for a variety of reasons, but for whatever reason, they have not been successful in traditional programs. Our department recently created a document that we shared with our high school principal colleagues, outlines the profile of a Cardinal Collins student. Students coping with mental or physical health issues such as anxiety, depression, or other medical problems. Students who have failed, been otherwise unsuccessful in school, or have dropped out. Students who are pregnant or are parenting. Students who identify as 2SL, GTBQ+, and looking for a more inclusive environment. Students who have been involved with drugs, criminal activity, or sexual abuse. Students who find learning difficult because of large classes and crowded schools. Kids who have been directed by the division to a Cardinal Collins site. Students who only need just a few more courses to achieve graduation. Students who are working and cannot fit a regular high school program into their schedules. Students who are so heavily involved in sports or fine arts that they're unable to attend classes full time. Finally, students who are extremely comfortable to work independently. It's important to note that Cardinal Collins accepts students throughout the school year, and just to put some context to this, in the last month or so, we've received 15 to 20 students from our community high schools. Most of these have been referred to us for reasons which manifest as poor attendance. This graph shows the profile of students at our Cardinal Collins, formerly Fresh Start sites. The blue is the number of severe codes, and orange is the number of knowledge and employability students. The gray bar shows our total student population at 4 sites, those sites being Mill Woods, City Centre, Westmount, and Clareview. It's worthy of note for this graph that a student is counted even if they were only with us for a short time. Throughout the school year, our division community high schools can be faced with students who have become disconnected with their school community for a variety of reasons. Many of these students are no longer able to be successful and have exhausted all means of supports that have been put in place for them. When minimal success has been achieved in their high school program, a program transfer can be initiated. This may offer a solution to bring a student back to the path of achieving a credential in our division. Factors such as poor attendance, in addition to social and emotional barriers, can make it difficult for many students to achieve success. Often, this means exploring the suitability of continuing their education at an alternative school program. We work with the referring school to make sure there's a plan in place to have students transition back to the community school or stay in the alternative education program until they graduate or get some sort of a credential. We're happy to help these students earn their credential, even though in many cases, alternative education is not credited with that completion. Personally, I've seen the benefits of this partnership from both sides as an assistant principal at 4 of the different community high schools and as the principal of alternative education. Teacher advisors are the backbone of the support that we offer our students. The quotes on this slide and the next slide sum up the mindset of the relationship between an advisor and a student. The work of the advisor permeates the student's program at Cardinal Collins Catholic Academic Center sites. The caring relationship that is built between the advisor and the student is key to demonstrating that the student is valued and supported. Our teacher advisors are determined with much care about the student, and they're matched up with someone who's going to bring out the best in them. Through this relationship and daily communication with the student, work is done to improve the attitude towards learning, build creativity, boost confidence, build a sense of community and belonging, and ultimately to put the student in a forward motion in life. It's heartwarming for me as the principal to see these relationships grow over time. As I mentioned, the teacher advisors are the backbone of support that we offer our students. There's many important other supports that we count on in our program. Our graduation and learning coach, very complex role. These 2 individuals support students at all of our sites. They support adult students, they support students that have very unique situations, and they support our program transfers or our program transitions. Our Lady of Grace program, which is a division-wide program which supports pregnant and parenting teens. Now, OLOG is a very complex program within itself, and it would probably have its own presentation. But this is a program we have many students that are OLOG students at our sites. Braided Journeys program is at 2 of our Cardinal Collins sites, Westmount and Millwoods. And the nice thing about these 2 Braided Journeys programs is they also support the junior high students, which are at the junior high schools which are attached to them, St. Hilda's and St. Mark. Assist is a division program that supports students that are, have been in many different types of situations, and we have many of our students that are working with the consultant and the FSLW in the Assist program. The nice thing about having Assist based out of our Clareview site is that we can bounce ideas off of them and get help with solving certain types of problems. Next, Revelation Online. It's an asynchronous online learning environment which accepts students throughout the entire school year. We have students who are primarily registered with Revelation Online, meaning that they are not registered at any other school, and we have concurrently registered students, meaning that they are registered at one of our division community high schools. Revelation Online is an excellent learning option for many students who want to work through courses at their own pace and at their own time of day. The courses are set up so that students can navigate through and take part in the learning activities in their course. The online environment, called Brightspace, or sometimes Desire to Learn, allows our staff to design lessons which are interactive and inviting. If we look at the graph that's on this slide, the blue is the primary registered students. Those are, again, are the ones that are only registered at Revelation Online. The orange are the students who are concurrently registered, which means that they are registered at one of our division schools. And for each of the years on the graph, that is the total number of course completions by both groups. During the 2021 school year, Revelation Online was able to support junior high and senior high online school during the pandemic. We would like to wish the division synchronous online schools the greatest success now that they have transitioned to St. Basil and to St. Joseph. Personally, I've been involved extensively with Revelation Online as an online teacher, a supporting administrator at the division community schools, and now as the principal overseeing this wonderful alternative form of course delivery. With the exception of the 2021 school year, Revelation Online has been able to offer all of the courses that are on this slide with a small staff of 5 to 6 teachers. At this time, I would like to turn the presentation over to my colleague, Assistant Principal Gino Ripley.
Thanks, Derek. Madam Chair, trustees, and Chief Superintendent Robert Martin, I just want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to be heard here this evening. I just wanted to speak briefly about what I like to call the Fresh Start Advantage. The graph on the upper left of this slide shows that the number of students who self-identify as having mental health concerns in alternative education schools, ranges from 52 to 98%. Now that's a very high rate of incidence for any school. Our district high schools have become very comfortable sending us their students who are faltering in their schooling as a result of the anxiety, depression, and other mental health distresses that they're experiencing. These students, more often than not, are transferred to us after their poor attendance and lack of progress in their academic programs have become critical. So our advantage when it comes to receiving and facilitating these students' mental, emotional, and academic progress lies in a few qualities that we are able to offer just because of the fact that we are different in nature in our environment. First of all, we're smaller and more intimate than most of the larger locations from which most of our students come. Now, we offer very frequent advisor-staff-student interface. So typically, a staff member is immediately available at any time during the day when a student may be in need. We offer specialized support staff. So we have family school liaison worker, therapeutic assistant behavioral therapy worker with us, and a mental health therapist on a part-time basis as well, and a braided journeys facilitator for our Indigenous students. We practice a trauma-informed care model, so all of our staff, because of our smaller number of students, are able to become more familiar with the students' histories, and subsequently are able to apply the mindset of what's going on in this student's life, as opposed to just asking, well, what's wrong with this student? Our program flexibility. We can start any student at any point in their academic program throughout the school year at any time. Our day program is self-paced, which means students have less pressure as a result of not having to keep what I call running to try to keep up with the conventional high school course delivery. Finally, our acceptance of diversity. All students are made to feel valued and appreciated, not just by staff, but probably more importantly, by their fellow students as well. Now, these qualities that I've outlined culminate in our main advantage, or what I like to call the ace in the hole. And that is the extremely high rate at which you'll see on this chart our students report that they feel that my school is a safe and caring place. Our students with mental health distress benefit to such a large degree from this advantage that more often than not, they do not return to the school from which they were transferred. In fact,
They will stay with us until they graduate. We see this as a tremendous success for both our students and for alternative education. Now, very importantly, the benefits of our special advantage also certainly extend to our student demographics other than just those students who experience mental health issues. One notable example of the remarkable success that we've had is with our 2S LGBTQ students who are transferred to us as they may not be experiencing success in other environments. These students, whether they are in the process of gender transition or are simply dealing with some of the stresses or adversities that may sometimes come with their gifts, tend to thrive in the safety and security of our staff and student environment. So we're very proud to see them, along with many other diverse types of students, find success in our schools. From my personal experience, having been with alternative education since 2003, I feel a need to share just one story of note that illustrates the difference that this department makes in the lives of individual youths. Last year, we graduated a young lady by the name of Kay, who you see in the picture, who epitomized the type of student for whom we serve or we exist to serve. Kay came to us at age 16, 4 years ago, from one of our community high schools. She was coming from a troubled home where she lived with her father and brother. Her father himself was at that time dealing with his own heavy emotional struggles and having a difficult time raising 2 teenage children on his own. He in fact received some support from our FSLW and MHT at that time. His daughter was struggling with a severe eating disorder, anxiety, and deep depression, accompanied by suicidal ideations. During Kay's first 2 years with us, we form tend her at least 2 times and called an EMS crisis response 3 times when she would self-harm or threaten to self-harm. With the exception of the 3 occasions when she was hospitalized for periods of time, she continued to use us almost daily as a platform from which to be supported during her difficult times. She kept our FSLW and MHT quite busy in those difficult days. And on her good days, Kay would also come in to access the academic support that she needed to chip away at her high school courses. In her later 2 years with us, her life seemed to gradually become brighter and more hopeful as she made progress in emerging from her darkness. Right now, at this moment, she's working on her practicum in her Northwest Medical Office Assistant course, and last month she wrote us, quote, "Hello, it's so nice hearing from you. Feels like forever. Yes, I did in fact end up going to Northwest and received funding through Advancing Futures. Can't thank you enough for that. I stayed in the medical office course and have been maintaining grades of 70 to 95%, which I never thought I could do. It's amazing how much you can achieve with something you actually love learning about. I go off to my practicum on October 13th. I can't wait. Hope all is well with you. I really miss Fresh Start and all of you." End quote. So I want to close by thanking the board for its support in allowing us to do what we do to support these types of students day after day and year after year. In our School of Alternative Education, where we like to say, here's where we do God's work. Thank you very much, and I'll return your attention to Santo.
Thank you, Assistant Principal Ripley. I'd like to spend a couple of minutes just talking about modular learning. During the last 10 years, alternative education has been using modules as a supplementary teacher resource, and we have been dedicated to the development and modification of these learning modules. Alternative education modular learning is a method of learning that uses self-paced modules based on learning outcomes and can serve as a guide for students and teachers. The modules may also include formative and summative assessments. We feel that modular learning enables our students to have control over their learning, allowing our students to take a greater responsibility in achieving their academic goal. The student is at the center of teaching and the learning process. Ultimately, our teachers use their professional judgment to determine whether they should use them in their entirety or use components of the modules. This decision should be based on the student's need, comprehension, learning style, and barriers that may prevent the student from attaining their academic goals. One ideal environment where our modular learning flourishes is with our Cardinal Collins program. Teachers use these modules while they work side by side with students, and if necessary, these resources can be taken home when the student has encountered barriers that prevent them from attending school. The opportunity to complete their academics within a flexible environment motivates many of our students and consequently increases student engagement and academic success. It must be stressed that the teacher may decide to use sections of the module for assessment purposes. However, our students are asked to complete summative assessments such as quizzes, midterms, and final exams at their sites. As highlighted in the report, many of our division teachers and consultants have created these modules and are being used with Cardinal Collins, PASS, and summer school self-paced teachers. Additionally, there are many other courses that have been modified and updated. Some of these modules that were created by division consultants and teachers are highlighted on the following slides. Professional development and student achievement. Alternative education is committed to improving student and teacher learning through a cohesive teacher professional development plan. We strive to meet the social, emotional, spiritual, and academic needs of students in an inclusive learning environment where all are celebrated, all are respected, and all diverse needs are met with compassion and sensitivity. While doing so, alternative education also knows that we must accommodate the flexible delivery methods of both modules and online learning. The following are a few strategies that we will continue to support us in improving student achievement. The administration team, together with subject area teachers, will review the Alberta Education 3-year data and will determine the subject areas of greatest needs using this data in order to continue decreasing the gap between school awarded marks versus diploma awarded marks. Learning services consultants would be a part of this dialogue, as decreasing the discrepancy requires that we intentionally address our formative and summative assessments. Development of an assessment leadership team that has representation from administration and teachers and will guide and will provide instructional leadership at general meetings, subject area meetings, and professional development days. Create a teacher assessment survey whereby essential data can be collected and assist the assessment team in making strategic decisions that will impact professional development. A few other strategies I'd like to highlight. We welcome our former division social studies consultant and well-known assessment expert and author to our staff, and we will draw upon his assessment expertise and wealth of knowledge. We will work directly with learning services to find a solution to be able to use common exams within a flexible framework of Edmonton Catholic School of Alternative Education, whereby all of our students in PASS and Revelation Online can complete a course at any point of the year, so our final exams can be administered at any point of the school year. PASS teachers will create common assessments for their courses, and all subject area teachers will use common course outlines. In addition, and guided by the LIFE framework and a commitment to EDIR, Edmonton Catholic Schools Mental Health Strategic Plan, along with Truth and Reconciliation, our staff will also be immersed in a journey that will incorporate sessions throughout the year that will enhance our staff understanding of how to support students who identify as 2SL, LGBTQ+, encourage teachers to participate in division-level professional learning on being trauma-aware and trauma-informed and restorative practice. Continue our wonderful partnership with Indigenous Learning Services and systematically offer sessions on truth and reconciliation. And at this time, I welcome Assistant Principal Kuchis to continue on with our presentation.
Thank you, Santo. Madam Chair, trustees, Chief Superintendent Martin, thank you so much for affording us this opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here and speak my lived experience of the incredible work of alternative education through the lens of an O'Leary teacher, counsellor, and administrator. I am pleased to say that I had the opportunity to do so for many years, working side by side with Madam Chair Palazzo. My journey at O'Leary began working with the AC project, where the focus was on high school completion rates. Collaborating with the teaching staff, student services, and our administration team, we worked hard to ensure that every student would be on track to graduate. Proactively, we recognized where students may need additional courses, and invariably those courses could not be placed in a timetable. We reached out to Edmonton Catholic School of Alternative Education to access individual courses through modules or through their online platform to ensure we had a cushion for those students who would be on the graduation cusp. In September, we ran a report of all of our grade 12 students who, in fact, perhaps did not meet completion requirements, and we called parents and students to offer programming suggestions that would fill the missing gaps. This programming was invariably offered by alternative education, and we supported the students in registering for the needed courses. O'Leary was credited with those completions, but in reality, our students would not have completed had we not had the support and flexible programming that alternative education provided. As a counsellor, alternative education programming allowed us so much hope in our conversations with students. For example, a student who is enrolled in a core subject at perhaps an unmanageable level for them didn't need to spend the entire semester sitting in a class, knowing that the chance of success was minimal. Rather, we could work with alternative education modules and move that student into a stream where they would be more successful. And we were able to keep the students engaged in their studies. Parents who were at a loss because their child was experiencing such difficulty or tragedy in their lives that being in school building was almost impossible. Parents feared the students would need to drop out for a period of time. As a counsellor, we were able to speak of the incredible work of staff at our Fresh Start sites and support transition where appropriate again, so that the student remained engaged in their learning, while alternative education provided supports. The flexibility of both attendance and programming allowed the student to access other outside supports on a very regular and possibly intensive basis, such as addiction counseling, psychiatric supports, or time to work through family circumstance. I'd be amiss if I did not speak of Our Lady of Grace, or OLOG. As a counsellor, this program was invaluable. Some pregnant students wished to remain at O'Leary, and in this case, the OLOG staff would, with the students' permission, come to meet with them, making them aware of supports they could offer, and always with necessities for a healthy pregnancy, such as prenatal vitamins and community resources. Some students felt more comfortable leaving their community school, and they were so thankful knowing that Edmonton Catholic School of Alternative Education would still completely support them in a flexible environment, such as Fresh Start, our new Cardinal Collins Catholic Academic Centres. For the past 3 years, I've had the privilege of working as an assistant principal at Alternative Education. Extolling the virtues of so many staff and supports would simply take too long, but I can share just a few of the conversations I've had recently. November diploma exams wrapped up just before our fall break. A former Edmonton Catholic student reached out to me as he hadn't received his high school diploma in 2020. It turns out that in his grade 12 year, he only wrote Part B of a humanities diploma. Now, as he aspires to enter NATE in January, he needed an opportunity to write Part A. We were able to provide a writing space for him, and we supported him with paperwork asking Alberta Education to recognize the split writing. A parent of a grade 12 student called me asking how her child could complete Phys Ed 10. The mum knew that the student would not take the class with students 2 years younger, yet is needed for a high school diploma. Revelation was online, was there ready to support the registration and completion of that course. Finally, an adult student called who was short credits for her high school diploma. Together, we looked at the detailed academic report, ascertained the missing courses, and another call was made to Revelation Online, where the staff welcomed the registration. 3 students who did not have their high school diploma will now have that diploma because of alternative education programming. These completions will be credited to their high schools because they each took the majority of their courses at their community school. But rest assured, in the background, with incredible staff and supports, is alternative education, without whom completion would not have been a reality. Again, thank you to you all for the opportunity to share the work of Edmonton Catholic School of Alternative Education. I now welcome back Superintendent Nakarado.
Thank you very much, Assistant Principal Kuchis, and the whole admin team. Goes without saying, so very, very proud of the team, and I continue to have the utmost unconditional respect for each and every one of you and each of the staff that you represent at our sites. You truly are doing, as Gino said, God's work. Thank you. And with that, I would respectfully turn it back to Chief Superintendent Martin to read the recommendations, please.
Thank you, Superintendent Nakarado and team. Just amazing work that is being done. And we're just so proud of what alternative education does for all of our students. And so at this point in time, I would pass it over to Madam Chair for any questions or comments.
Thank you, Chief Superintendent Martin. Were you going to make the recommendation, and then I can move it forward as a motion?
I certainly can.
Thank you.
So based on the evidence provided in the Alternative Education Report 2021-22, the board determines that the following quality indicators have been met as per Board Policy 12 Appendix B relative to the current evaluation period. 2.2 identifies trends and issues related to student achievement to inform the 3-year planning process, including recommendations for innovative means to improve measurable student achievement, and quality indicator 2.4 ensures there is a measurable improved student achievement over time.
Thank you so much, Chief Superintendent Martin, Superintendent Nakarado, Director Saporito, Principal Hatch, and Assistant Principal Kuchis and Ripoli for this extraordinary report. And as was shared, for shifting mindsets, for being a special advantage, and for the reminder to suspend judgment and put ourselves in the shoes of another. It's not mind-boggling, but it sure is powerful. Innovative thinking such as this is why ECST prides itself on our high school completion. I'm confident our board is going to want to speak, but first, as this is a motion, I'm going to turn it over to Trustee Mutala, who's in queue, to please make this motion.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I move that based on the evidence provided in the Alternative Education Report 2021-22, the board determines that the following quality indicators have been met as per Board Policy 12 Appendix B relative to the current evaluation period as previously read.
Thank you, Trustee Mutala. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
I sure do, because you are doing God's work. I want to thank Chief Superintendent Martin, Superintendent Nakarado, Director Santo, Principal Derek, Assistant Principal Ripley and Kuchis, and all the staff and teachers who work at these sites. What a blessing this alternative program is for our students, as it gives me so much hope for the success and the future of our students. I'm thrilled with this report. You have definitely found new directions for student learning, and it has contributed to students achieving high school completion and success for the students. I especially like page 3 of the report, where it has all the 14 different programs and services that the students can achieve while working on, like the different programs that they can access while achieving their high school diploma. You have met the needs of our most vulnerable students and made each and every one of them feel welcome in our school community. I especially appreciate the mental health supports that you have in place and the one-on-one work that the advisors have contributed, all have contributed to the success of the students, which is shown in the positive results of our Edmonton Catholic Schools Assurance Survey. And the quote that I really liked is that every kid is one caring adult away from being a success story. So thank you for all you do, and you have proven, there is proven success in the success of our students and the completion rates. Thank you.
Beautifully said, Trustee Mutala. Thank you so much. Trustee Ingle, go ahead, please.
I agree with so much of what Trustee Mutala said in her opening comments with making the motion. I just want to add that you do spectacular work. You do God's work, and it takes very special people and very special leaders such as yourselves to do this work. Not everybody's cut out for it. Not everybody has that talent, that gift. And you do such important work, and it's hard work. Fixing people who are broken is really, really hard work. And helping people who aren't broken achieve higher goals is hard work. It's also hard. But what you do is, it's different in terms of you're that caring adult that's going to help a child succeed, and they don't have anyone else. God bless you, and thank you for the work you do.
Thank you, Trustee Ingle. Trustee Harris, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Like my colleagues, just blown away by your work, by your report, by your presentation. You know, something comes to mind for me as I think about this, and I really appreciate the level of sophistication within our division around this. I've heard it said, and I've mentioned this before, that you can tell how sophisticated a system is not by what gets done in a heroic effort, but by what gets taken for granted. And none of this gets taken for granted, but I think what it speaks to is there is a lot of heroic effort that goes in there, and yet I really appreciate the infrastructure, the support that is there, the meta level thinking as to how do we kind of make this, how do we kind of wrap this into our DNA and get the systems and processes in place to actually help the people that are on the front line delivering this, so that it's not a heroic effort every time they go. It just becomes part of the way we do our business. I really, really appreciate the level of sophistication and the thinking that I'm seeing in how we build the systems to support this. You throw lifelines left, right, and center, doing God's work, absolutely. As we were listening Monday, we had a great presentation on our mental health strategy and a variety of issues around that. And as you were speaking in your presentation, that was just rattling around for me, all the concepts of trusted adult, the concept of the student at the center, and yet the student having agency, right? The flexibility to meet that student where they're at and to work with them and really be able to support that authentically. I thought it just magnificent. I think there's so much that I would love to understand if there's potential for scaling this. I do have a sense, a little bit of a sense that it's probably very expensive because it feels like it's very hands-on. I'd like to understand if there is potential and how we overlay this with respect to inclusive education as well, which tends to be, very personal, very individual centric based on. So I don't know if there's anything that you can share with me that that helps me understand if there's potential for other applications beyond the breadth of what you've already mentioned. Principal Hatch, you mentioned the breadth of the applications of this. Is there potential beyond that? Or is there potential with our inclusive education to broaden this? And I just want to extend my deep appreciation, Superintendent Nacarado, Director Saporito, Principal Hash, Assistant Principals Kuchis and Repling. I really appreciate what you're doing and applaud you and all the team that is helping to deliver this for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Harris. Trustee Tiber, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So first of all, thank you all. Everybody that touches alternative education. It is a gift. It is something that is treasured, and it's something that we see success stories over and over and over again, and they make me cry every time I hear about them. Tears of joy, because it's always somebody beating an odd or somebody succeeding, and that is everything that's to do with Catholic education. But one thing is Alberta education, it's a place where all students are supported. And it's by shifting mindsets and changing practices to support all the students. And by doing that, we achieve learning outcomes, which is hurrah, it's great, it's amazing work. And doing this all through a Catholic lens, it's just what we do. It's just what we do at Edmonton Catholic. And I've seen Alberta education evolve over the past couple years, and you know, what always amazes me is what success looks like for one student is not what success looks like for the next student. And to be able to look at a student and say, this is what success looks like for you. All right, we're on it. Let's do it. We're going to make this happen for you. And I think it's incredible work. It's important work, and it's done each and every day. And for that, it's incredible. So thank you. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Tiber. Well said. Vice Chair Tuchansky, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you so much to Chief Superintendent Martin, Superintendent Nacarado, Santos Saporito, Derek Hatch, Gina Ripley, and Maria Kuchis. This is unbelievable. When we saw it in governance, it really took my breath away. And in fact, not only did it take my breath away, but it squeaked out a few tears when I heard the story of a student who took the time to write back. To me, that's always extraordinary. But this whole thing is unbelievable. The fact that student achievement, as always, of course, is at the forefront. And not only is that at the forefront, but you're able to measure it. You have initiatives in place. You follow trends. It is remarkable with it. And our students and our staff are extraordinary. And every one of them is where they're meant to be. From our staff to our students. Our students go in there because of our staff. And of course, our staff are there because of the students. And I couldn't see a better marriage of the two. And of course, every one of our students deserves the opportunity to be the best person that they can be. And our programming, beyond everything, two of them that have really struck me that I've seen up close and personal was Our Lady of Grace. I was at St. Oscar Romero when they were doing grad photos. And of course, I went to school at Louis Saint Laurent, so this was not something I was used to, but there was a young lady walking past in her grad outfit and holding a baby. And I was with the coach at the time and said, what is this? And they said, oh, come and see. And I was fortunate to go see as the photos were being taken, and this lovely young woman with her baby, the baby in the photo and out of the photo, and the pride in that woman's face and the face of all of the teachers that were in there. I was just shocked and amazed. And it just actually warmed my heart terribly to see that we had this in our schools for our students. And of course, the second is our braided journeys, graduations. Of course, we haven't been able to go recently, but again, it is astounding to go see these students who often don't fit the traditional mold graduate. And again, the pride in the beading in their graduation outfits is stunning. And you can see that these students didn't get there easily through mainstream schooling. And And yet here they were, and so proud. And this is certainly as a result entirely of your group, which really doesn't cater to our mainstream students. And I'm just delighted that this report is coming forward, because of course, that's often what we hear is our mainstream schools. So the fact that this has been brought forward to us with such detail and pride just fills my heart. So thank you to each and every one of you. This is unbelievable. And the work you do is truly God's work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Tuchansky. And so bear with us, because this is the kind of news stories that gives us that good kind of feeling that all of the trustees have shared. And so I'm going to reiterate some of those sentiments. And simply, I guess for me, to simply applaud this team is an understatement. It has been an honor to work with so many of you on so many levels. And despite that O'Leary gave us much to celebrate, you truly lived the experience that you were so passionate about, primarily because for each and every one of you, you put students first. Education nowadays goes beyond the traditional classroom setting, as we've heard through this presentation, that in today's world, our teachers, our staff, and our administration strive to go beyond the conventional ways of serving our students by providing, as you've already indicated, those flexible, personalized learning opportunities for lifelong learning, which comes from the trust, relationship, building hope, and the kind of incentive that students receive from the alternative education team, which is a testament and recipe for success. Thank you for empowering our students. And as shared by Kay, our Norquest success story, for being someone's strength, inspiration, and reason not to give up, which is what every student deserves. Listening to all of you reminds me why I'm here, because why we're all here. Thank you for being a reminder of all that we have to celebrate, and kudos to all of you for continuing to make that difference in the lives of our students. Thank you. And I will now turn it back to Trustee Mutala. Trustee Mutala, do you wish to close your motion?
I just want to say, just God bless each and every one of you, and thank you for being there for each and every one of our most vulnerable students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now proceed to call the vote, beginning with Trustee Harris. Go ahead, please.
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Ingle?
I am just so in favor. What a wonderful report.
Thank you. Trustee Mutala?
I'm definitely in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Tuchansky?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too am in favor.
Thank you. Trustee Taber?
I'm absolutely in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also support the motion, so it'll come as no surprise for the record that this motion is unanimously carried. And so on the heels of one, and thank you to all of you, on the heels of one good story is 3.2, the annual education results report. And I will turn it back to you, Chief Superintendent Martin.
And Madam Chair, just to finish off with alternative education, I just wanted to let you know that under the direction of Director Santos Saporito, we are going to be having our virtual career fair, post-secondary career fair. And so he's taken the lead on that, and it's going to be over 2 evenings for all of our junior and senior high schools that would like to participate and see that. So a huge thanks to Director Saporito. And he's got a team that he's gathered from various departments, but looking forward to it for sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And you're right. It is now time to look at our annual education results report, which is, so to speak, somewhat of a report card for Edmonton Catholic Schools. So we're really happy about this report that Superintendent Fiacco and some of our other superintendents have been involved in, but definitely this is Superintendent Fiacco's little gem. So it's off to you.
Thank you, Chief Superintendent Martin. Madam Chair of the Board of Trustees, it is my distinct pleasure and honor and privilege to provide the board with this report. This report is a 68-page document that really is really outstanding from my perspective. It represents collaborative efforts, not just throughout the senior administration team, but their respective teams. And when you go through it and you look at everything that the division has had to go through in the 2020-2021 school year, and you see how we came out the other end with learning opportunities and strong results at the same time, I'm sure that as is tradition, that Debbie Engel is going to take everybody out for ice cream after the meeting today. So I'll start with the report right now. As we all know, that the assurance system came into play again this year, and assurances in the education system happens when community members, system stakeholders, and education partners engage across 5 domains: student growth and achievement, teaching and leading, learning supports, governance, and local and societal context. Student growth and achievement is the primary purpose of the education system and is at the core is the core outcome domain for the assurance framework. The domains of teaching and leading, learning supports, and governance support and enable student growth and achievement. Local and societal context, while a separate domain, operates across all domains and is integrated into the others. Each year, we look at the Alberta Education Assurance measures within each domain to give us a sense if we are hitting our targets in assuring stakeholders that ECSD is providing quality education to our children. For the last school year, more work was done in this area as the Edmonton Catholic School Division created an assurance survey of their own. And it was conducted digitally from May 31st to June 24th. All students in grades 4 to 12, parents and guardians of all students, and staff at all schools and sites in the division were invited to participate in the survey. The assurance survey items were also grouped into themes that align with the Division Continuous Growth Plan and priorities, as well as the Alberta Education Assurance Framework domains. We have also taken another step further where we've created an division assurance dashboard, and it's digital, and it's to present our surveys in a very interactive and user-friendly way. Stakeholders can explore results by priority or by report. Each school also has its own assurance dashboard on their website that presents their school-specific results. We will now look at the data collected from the Alberta Education Assurance measures and our own assurance survey, starting with the local and societal context. Our Catholic context is grounded in the premise that our faith is permeated throughout the learning experience. There are many exciting formation opportunities that our students and staff experience in regard to their religious education and faith formation. This report proposes to highlight several important areas that support our ongoing success and include our evolving curriculum from kindergarten to grade 12, the partnership between home, school, and parish, chaplaincy, liturgical life, Catholic social teaching, staff formation, and Catholic school leadership. The work we are doing in this area is reflected by the high percentage of stakeholders that agree their school provides an environment for students to serve, celebrate, and grow in the Catholic faith. This year's data from our Division Assurance Survey will serve as a baseline for measures in future AERR reports. As we delve into the domain of student growth and achievement, this domain refers to the ongoing progress students make in their learning relative to identified provincial learning outcomes and consistent with their needs, interests, and aspirations. Public assurance occurs when the public has trust and confidence that students demonstrate citizenship, engage intellectually, and grow continuously as learners. With respect to Alberta Education's student growth and achievement assurance domain, there are 8 assurance measures, and we are pleased to report that Edmonton Catholic School Division has met or exceeded the province in all 8 measures. Although most of the measure evaluations were not calculated, Edmonton Catholic Schools did receive results for our high school completion rates, and our rates were evaluated overall as excellent and were higher than the provincial results. In addition, overall, Edmonton Catholic Schools received higher results in the province across all 4 of the assurance measures provided within the student growth and achievement assurance domain. And although there are minimal data points to study due to ongoing disruptions from COVID-19, our division continues to examine trended data over time to develop ongoing plans for improvement. Our most recent academic results demonstrate that ECSD must improve in both the acceptable standard and standard of excellence on provincial achievement tests and diplomas. Over the past year, significant work has been done to support pedagogical and assessment practices at all levels, including the ongoing professional development in instructional leadership. As we look at the citizenship measure, this measure asks parents, teachers, and students questions such as, do the students follow the rules, help each other when they can, respect each other, are they involved in activities to help their community, and are students encouraged to try their best? I am pleased to report that Edmonton Catholic School Division has a collective score within the stakeholder group that is higher than the province in this measure, at 84.9% versus 83.3% scored by the province. The Alberta Ed Assurance Measure on Student Learning Engagement measures the percentage of teachers, parents, and students who agree that students are engaged in their learning at school. The ECSD current result is 86.4%. The current result for the province is 85.6%. The Division Assurance Survey took it even a step further by asking more in-depth questions regarding classroom climates and the fostering of effective relationships that encourage students not only to be engaged, but also encouraged to try their best. This can account for the differential amongst the student responses. Teaching and leading refers to teachers and leaders analyzing the learning context, attending to local and societal considerations, and applying the appropriate knowledge and abilities to make decisions resulting in quality teaching, leading, and optimal learning for all. Public assurance occurs when the public has trust and confidence that certificated teachers and certificated leaders demonstrate the respective professional practice standards. To gain the public trust, stakeholders are asked if the student understands what they're expected to learn, finds the work challenging and interesting, and is the student learning what they need to know. Stakeholders are also asked to rank their overall satisfaction with the quality of education. The 2020-2021 school year provided many unique learning challenges for our students as schools pivoted from in-person to online instruction throughout the year. Along with the delivery of curriculum in alternative formats, teachers had to navigate their way on how to best collaborate and work together within the constraints provided from public health orders. The division collected baseline data from our assurance survey to complement the data received from Alberta Education. Based on the data collected, it is clear that the public can be assured that certificated teachers and leaders are demonstrating their respective professional standards and focusing on optimal learning for all. Instructional pivots, due to the many isolations inherent to the pandemic response, may have attributed to the drop of 3.7% in the metric of program access, as many services had to be altered or canceled to limit the number of cohorts in contact with each other. The 1.5% drop in overall education quality can be attributed to the major shifts in delivery models throughout the year, as parents and staff also had to adjust to the many unique learning challenges throughout the school year. However, the metrics of professional in-servicing with a focus on continuous improvement remain consistently strong, despite not having the ability to meet in person. This was due to the extra efforts put forth by departments and teaching staff to learn and grow together. All staff found innovative ways to address the challenges operating a school division in an environment of contact restrictions. Stakeholders were pleased that despite the disruptions, assessment and feedback were consistently provided in an engaging manner. The determined efforts and adaptability of our staff in meeting the learning needs of our students was exemplary and provided everyone with wonderful learnings on how to operate in an alternative platform. Teachers will use this experience in 2020-2021 to inform and guide their efforts towards evidence-based continuous learning. Learning supports refers to the mobilization of resources required to demonstrate shared, system-wide responsibility for all children and students, and the application of these resources to ensure quality teaching and leading and optimum learning for all. Public assurance occurs when the public has confidence that resources are managed effectively in establishing learning environments where local and societal context is recognized, diversity is embraced, a sense of belonging is emphasized, and all students are welcomed, cared for, respected, and safe. The division continues to excel in the areas of school safety and support to students. Data measures show an overwhelming overall satisfaction amongst the parents at 95.5%, as our funding priorities supported the needs associated with the individual needs of all students through flexible and responsive programming. Through engaging with the Indigenous community, the division provided supports to all students, including First Nations, Métis and Inuit, newcomers to Canada, and those who required programming away from the division community high schools. These groups felt welcome, respected, and safe, as evidenced by the 95% of our surveyed parents in our division assurance survey. Our education plan targeted meeting the needs of all students, and this is an area of strength shown within the division. Over 90% of our parents agreed that the services provided by our multidisciplinary teams in the areas of educational and personal development was robust and timely. Extra attention and efforts were put in place around mental health as this became a concern as a byproduct of the pandemic. The division will continue to target supports now and into the future to help meet the needs of all of our students academically, socially, and emotionally. Work was done this past year engaging and educating parents on how to best support our children's mental health. Further work was also done in enhancing our inclusive environments in and out of the classroom. Division supports to learning also included the formation of a formal online school to support the students that chose to stay home during the pandemic. Excuse me. And the final domain, governance. Governance refers to the processes by which policy leaders attend to local and societal context, determine strategic direction, evaluate policy implementation, and manage fiscal resources to ensure learning supports, quality education, and leading an optimum learning for all. Public assurance occurs when the public has trust and confidence that policy leaders demonstrate stewardship of system resources with an emphasis on student success, generative community engagement, transparency, and accountability. This assurance domain highlights the necessity for all stakeholders to work together for the continuous improvement of our division, for the betterment of our students. The Edmonton Catholic School Division is committed to creating opportunities for individuals to offer diverse perspectives and share their ideas with members from our division. Beginning with a facilitated strategic planning session with the board to discern division priorities, principals, division leaders, as well as our student voice membership, they all provided feedback. A transportation survey, a fall break survey, and consistent communication regarding the delivery options for online learning all informed decisions on this budget. The input of school councils, as provided during our community of school engagement in March, also provided valuable insights into the work in each of the 4 priorities. The overarching themes from this engagement were used at the division level to inform both the division plan for continuous growth and the division budget. Over the past year, the division formalized its engagement framework. We are committed to creating opportunities for individuals to offer diverse perspectives and share their ideas with members of our division. Our vision states that we will learn together, work together, and pray together in answering the call to a faith-filled life. Community engagements provide the opportunity to listen and learn from each other as we imagine new programs and services that will meet the ever-changing needs of students and their families. As we look at the data, we notice a disparity between the different reports when it comes to stakeholder involvement. The provincial measure shows a 76.5% satisfaction measure with respect to involvement in decisions, which is our lowest measure over the past 3 years. However, the division survey shows a baseline measure of the same metric at 92.7%. This could be attributed to the timing of the respective surveys, as the provincial data was collected at the height of the pandemic. Conversely, division data was garnered near the end of the school year as the COVID numbers dropped and the relaunch was in sight. We need to be cognizant that many decisions that needed to be made throughout the year were driven by external factors that naturally divided the population and were controversial in nature. Regardless of the survey timeliness, it is important to remember that typical timeframes required to engage communities for decision-making purposes was not realistic, as the many responses to the demands of COVID-19 needed immediate action. Where time constraints were not present, the division was able to engage our stakeholders in a thorough fashion. And through the lens of walking together towards a glorious future, we will continue to collaborate with our stakeholders in our planning and goal setting in working towards continuous improvement. I'll now turn over to Chief Superintendent Martin to read the recommendation.
Thank you, Superintendent Fiacco. Again, just an outstanding report. And so, Madam Trustee, recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approves the Annual Education Results Report 2021. God calls us each by name, and that based on the evidence provided in the Annual Education Results Report, the board determines that the following quality indicators have been met as per Board Policy 12 Appendix B relative to the current evaluation period. And Madam Chair, I am just going to read you the numbers. I'm not going to read you the entire list for brevity, if you may indulge me. Quality indicator 1.1, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 3.1, 5.3, 8.1, 8.3, 8.5, 9.1, 10.3, and 10.5. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, very much appreciated, Chief Superintendent Martin, Superintendent Fiacco, and team for such an extraordinary gem of our ECSD report card. And as this is a motion, I will turn it to Trustee Ingle to please make this motion. She is in queue. Go ahead, please. Oh, you're on mute, Trustee Ingle.
It is with great pleasure I make this motion. Report card day, when it's a good report card, is our favorite day. And I know for brevity and the hours getting late, we didn't read all the quality indicators at this time. But when you read them, it's astounding. Like the reports are publicized, academics are insured. Like the amount of work that goes into that and meeting those quality indicators. Oftentimes people will say when we're talking to kids about what our role is, and we say we have a policy that you're going to learn, but it's so much more in depth. And our superintendent and his team, thank you, Chief Superintendent Martin, Superintendent Fiacco, and the entire team, and the teachers and the students, because this is a happy day. Our results are stellar. Our kids are achieving, and we're coming out of, we're still in the middle of a world pandemic. So to have these kind of results and to have our students achieve, and the survey results, like happy in school, it's remarkable. It's remarkable. I'm just so excited. And as every good board member agrees, when you have a terrific report card like this, Chief Superintendent Martin, Superintendent Fiacco, you have to take all the staff you supervise out for ice cream. And the good news is, I'm actually thrilled to say that when we move into our common home, when the office moves, there's a Dairy Queen across the street. So we're going to go for ice cream next year when you do the assurance report, that and the accountability for sure. The board is going to take you guys for ice cream. So there's just not enough that could be said, but I urge everyone to read the quality indicators that report has reached, because when you do, the impact of that report becomes so much more significant. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Ingle. And maybe I missed it, so you've already spoken. Did you read the recommendation by chance?
Oh, as read by,
Perfect.
I have my iPhone on another, as read by Superintendent Martin.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. Just for the record, we just wanted to ensure that that was done. Trustee Mutala, go ahead, please.
Okay, so thank you. I just don't know where to start because this is an excellent report card. And considering that it's only been 1 year since we have developed this new assurance framework, replacing the previous accountability pillars, we have had excellent results in all the domains, and to meet the 8 assurance measures, and we've met them all or exceeded them all compared to the province, is a great success for our division. So a few of the things I'd like to just say how spectacular it is. Being named a top 70 Alberta employee for the 6th consecutive year in a row is a testament to the remarkable staff and division that we have. And despite COVID, we were able to create the K-12 online school to ensure our students had a quality faith-based online learning experience. Also that our staff and parents appreciate the digital division assurance dashboard to present results. I appreciate that we've aligned the assurance survey has aligned the themes with the assurance model with the division growth plan for priorities. And I'm very grateful that we've been able to provide so many faith formation activities for our admin, our staff and students. And thank you to Chief Superintendent Martin and the whole religious department for this. This is a very important work, and that's what we're about. And I also appreciate all the extra support that you provide for our new teachers and our assistant principals and principals. And I also want to thank the curriculum consultants and the admin and teaching who worked so hard to review the draft curriculum and provided the Alberta government with the 175-page report to provide significant feedback to the Minister of Education. And I greatly appreciate the mental health supports and resources that you have in place. And we were so grateful the other night. And I was so glad that when they showed us the ECSD website and how to access all the mental health supports to show the parents and anybody else who was watching how to access it and what resources we had there, because that's a wonderful thing to do for our staff and our parents and our students. I'm very grateful. Good report card. Ice cream's coming.
Thank you, Trustee Mutala. Trustee Tiber, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'll be quick because we've seen all this information in one way or the other, and it's incredible. And I love hearing the reports and seeing it all put together in one report like this is incredible. I always love the annual education results report. It's more than a report to me. It's kind of like our story. It's exactly from the past year. It's everything that we've seen. It's everything that we've done and put together in a nice, beautiful package. And the summary, this always reminds me of the amazing work that we do each and every day. So if anybody wants to know what ECSD is about, I suggest you check it out because it's incredible. And I agree. I just want a quick plug for the mental health component. It was incredible on Monday. Truly, truly a wealth of information for parents. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. And there is, again, the mental health website. I just wanted to throw that in there as well. But amazing report. Thank you for everything, for putting it together. And again, I look forward to sharing it wide with my community. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Tiber. Vice Chair Tuchansky, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So this is unbelievable. I mean, I printed it off, and Chief Superintendent Martin, your team is unbelievable. Like from soup to nuts. I have never held a report card like this. I think I'm going to give it to my parents. Finally see that I had a report card that had things like excellent, 90s, and nowhere on here does it say works well in groups, which was what mine always used to say. But all kidding aside, my colleague, Trustee Tiber, was correct. This is us. This is us. And it's so nice to have something that is measurable and has proof of it, because we speak of it, we talk about it, we get awards about it, but now we actually have, once again, the data that we can hold up and show everybody. I would have loved to have had this at ASBA, because this would have accidentally kept falling off my table, and other trustees would have had to pick it up, not from our division, and I would have kept having to walk around and say, whoops. But this is truly remarkable, and again, the idea that this is us is just thrilling, and the opportunity to prove it. So thank you for all of this.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Tuchansky. Now, I did see Trustee Harris in queue, but you're no longer there. Trustee Harris, sorry, did you, your hand isn't up any longer. Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to speak.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I just, obviously my colleagues have shared a lot of what I would share. I just want to express deep thanks to everyone, because this is kind of a summative assessment. It's kind of a summative report, and you think about all of the work that goes in, to get to this point. And I really liked everything I was reading in the report, and the presentation was excellent. It really struck me as well as you talked a little bit about those high school completion rates, the presentation that we just had, right? And how important, the integration, the interrelationship between that work that goes on, which is very, very high touch kind of work, and very student centered, and where that leads to in terms of students have an opportunity to actually finish and move on, right? And transition to the next, either to post-secondary or into the workaday world. Also, of course, as trustees, we've all just been through, in our particular cases, I guess, acclamations, but it goes to the municipal elections, and so when I see overall satisfaction from parents, our community at that 95%, I think, that is wonderful news, right? And not from a political perspective, really, although I've just positioned it like that, but more because it speaks to the fact that the work that's going on is hitting the mark for students, but also hitting the mark for families. And I just want to express my appreciation to everyone for their contribution to that. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Trustee Harris. And so once again, I would like to applaud the efforts of Chief Superintendent Martin, Superintendent Fiacco, our administrators, our staff, our students, parents, and guardians for your input. That speaks to the remarkable work of our division and the spectacular efforts of our administration, staff, students, and families. Despite COVID, we continue to persevere, and more importantly, we continue to celebrate the highlights of this report that provides the assurance and validates the vibrant, excellent education that exists in our schools. Thank you. And so, Trustee Ingle, I will turn it back to you. Do you wish to close your motion at this time?
Just want to say what a pleasure it was to hear everyone's reaction and comments about the report. Great last item on the agenda.
Yeah, so it really was.
That, I with congratulations to all the hard work that has been done, I close.
Thank you very much. And so thank you, Trustee Ingle. And so I will now proceed to call the vote, beginning with Trustee Harris. Go ahead, please.
Very much in favor, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Ingle.
I too am in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Ingle. Trustee Mutala.
I'm very much in favor.
Thank you, Trustee Mutala. Thank you. Vice Chair Tuchansky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too am in favor.
Thank you, Vice Chair Tuchansky. Trustee Tiber.
I am in favor.
Thank you, Trustee Tiber. And I am also in favor. For the record, please note the motion is also carried. And so moving on to 4.2, Board Chair Report. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there are just a couple of items here. It was a busy month for the board. We won't take much more of your time, but we do wish as a board to take the opportunity to once again thank Chief Superintendent Martin and the entire team for all that you do, particularly, and our colleagues, my colleagues have referenced this, for hosting our first spectacular parent information meeting of the school year, mental health, parents as partners, which was held virtually just on November 22nd. Thank you all for who were able to join us in our commitment to continue providing a variety of supports to our families. We hope that the strategies and information and resources that you received at the meeting will help you lead your families towards a successful school year. As well, we wish to publicly wish our board office administrative assistant, Candace Daysheep, all the best in her future endeavors as she pursues other opportunities, and to welcome aboard Peta Hamden, who is no stranger to ECSD. We're delighted to welcome you, Peta, as she will now be working part-time with our corporate secretary. And that's all you can read the rest for yourselves. Attached is a summary of meetings, events, and activities that were undertaken in my role as board chair. Since my last report, the summary does not include those meetings and events I attended as a trustee representing Ward 72. And so, as this is not a motion, I will read the recommendation for the record that the Board of Trustees acknowledges receipt of the board chair report on hashtag ECSD Faith Inspires, October 22nd, 2021 to November 18th, 2021. And this now takes us to 4.2. Where am I here? The Chief Superintendent report, the most important report. And I will turn it over to you, Chief Superintendent Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chair and trustees. Like you, Madam Chair, I'm not going to read the entire report. I'll just pick and choose just a couple of items. Our division officially launched the Dream Builders Challenge, our annual fall fundraising campaign. And so this was typically known as the We Care Challenge. We are focusing on schools on raising funds in support of the ECS Foundation and their Dream for Kids campaign. So this is going to run until the Christmas break. As of November 8th, 97.2% of our entire staff were either fully or partially vaccinated. And that's increasing. So very, very good news there. The grade 5 students across the division were provided with an Our Lady of Schools bookmark as part of their religious education program. Our student voice team has met for the first time already. The group of 2 student representatives from each high school provides the division with important insights on various topics, as you know, because you all participate in that wonderful endeavor. And we had our annual Faith Development Day. That was just an outstanding day for all of us in the division. And I'm going to read you my recommendation, Madam Chair, that the Board of Trustees acknowledges receipt of the Chief Superintendent's report on ECSD Faith Inspires, October 2021 for information purposes.
Thank you, Chief Superintendent Martin. I'm delighted to read the recommendation for the record that the Board of Trustees acknowledges receipt of the Chief Superintendent's report on hashtag ECSD Faith Inspires September 2021 for information purposes. Thank you for all that you do. And this now takes us to 5.1, closing prayer, and we will call on Father Glenn to lead us in prayer, please.
Hello, my friends. Sorry, clicking problems once again. And so let us begin and read our and share in our Mary Mother of God prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Let us pray. Loving Father, you sent your Son into the world to redeem us by his cross and resurrection. Send your Spirit upon us today to make us stewards of your gifts and witnesses of your Son, Jesus Christ, in our schools and in our world. We were created in your image and likeness, each of us a precious gift. Through the intercession of our most blessed Mother, Mary, the Mother of God, we ask you to protect and guide our students and staff, caring and watching over us at all times. Come live in our hearts and strengthen us to love and serve you. Let us glorify your name, being kind and generous to everyone we meet. With Christ as our model and our teacher, we celebrate and witness our faith, learning together, working together, and praying together in answering the call to a faith-filled life of service. We pray this through your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Father Glenn. And this takes us to the end of our meeting, and I am looking for a motion to adjourn. Let's see who the friend, there she is, Trustee Ingle. Go ahead, please. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, I'm muted, ready to go, and I clicked it again. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Thank you very much, Trustee Ingle. And so calling the vote, beginning with Trustee Harris. Go ahead, please.
In favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Ingle.
In favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Mutala.
I'm in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Tuchansky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too am in favor.
Thank you. Trustee Tiber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am in favor.
Thank you very much. I am also in favor. For the record, please note the motion is carried. Thank you all again. Wishing you all a wonderful evening and a fabulous rest of your week. Goodbye, all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.